You start adding new material in the blank side, and the worms will transition over. So you don't have to be dicking around with a trommel or harvesting, trying to segregate cocoons from vermicompost is requires the patience of a saint. But
Yeah, you just have to sift it then. I mean, you can do that.
Yeah.
Throw it in a fucking maker.
Yeah, I've been looking at the horizontal harvesting,
this is-
and it seems like it would work. It just takes a little bit longer. You have to prep.
Well,
the
this
land.
no, I like that too, and that I could do that with cinder blocks in my basement if I wanted. You know, that's I
Right.
could do real easy. And I could do a lot. That would be good for scale. Like if I had a source of like manure or something that I could do a scale and just set it and forget it. That would be awesome.
What kind of
But
manure
then
do you use?
What this style is this style is similar, but picture a raised bed but raised up on legs, so you could get up underneath it. Okay, and then the bottom of it is a grate with I think they're 2 or 3 inch holes in this grate, and you lay like 3 to 4 layers of just newspaper down, and then you fill it with the bedding, and you fill it with your worms, and then you fill it with the food. But it's got I forgot to say, it's got like a breaker bar that sits on top of that grate that has a chain on a pulley or a hand crank, or you can even get a motor if you wanted to pull that. And it'll pull off about an inch off the bottom, and it'll force it through that grate. And that way you can harvest like every week. Just harvest, a pull. So you're taking an inch off the bottom.
Right.
You can harvest like every week. That way you have like a smaller harvest, but more consistent. I really like that idea. And it's like continuous. You just keep feeding food at the top and harvesting out the bottom. I really liked that kind of system.
That's John Holcomb's at Oregon Soil. Rhonda Sherman, her mentor and the head of most of the projects, were done with a PhD from England by the name of Dr. Clive Edwards. And they developed, Dr. Clive Edwards and Dan with the Oregon Soil are the ones that developed the concept in general of a vertical flow through. And then it was Dan that tweaked it for the largest project in the Western Hemisphere was in upstate New York, a company called Worm Power. And at the height of their production, they had estimated 200 million worms in production. So just to give you an idea what that means is that every adult worm creates 2 to 3 castings a week. And each casting is on average 4 hatchlings. So just imagine every week how that multiplies out. And they live for about 4.5, 5, the worms, live about 4.5, 5 years, and they never sleep. And they don't call in sick. And their moms don't die. They just come to work and, process bacterial slime, manure, if you will, and turn it into castings.
And eliminate viruses and shit and pathogens. And I know. I'm already in love with the shit, man.
I don't want to interrupt you guys because you're having an awesome combo. I just want to let you know that I went live like 3 minutes ago because it was really good stuff. So just want you to know you're on YouTube.
Once you do real castings, the real thing, all the horse shit about newt programs and what kind of soil, you'll never buy another soil again. Just mix your own. It'll be good for 4 to 6 years without any major.
Dude, I'm finding I'm using less and less stuff, and I'm just throwing worm castings at shit. I'm just like, all right, worm castings, and fuck, it'll be okay. It's not always the case, but it's mostly the case.
Always.
Pretty much a solve all. Shout out Full Duplex and Dustin, Future 4200. You guys just showed up. I want to give you guys a chance to say hello.
Hi, Dustin.
What's up, everybody?
How you guys doing?
Sir?
Cheers.
Happy New Year's.
Happy New Year's, guys.
You too. Happy New Year's.
We're 2 minutes of New Year's here on the East Coast.
Yep.
They're coming up close.
I was thinking about getting a clacker, but I was like, I can't do that to everybody in the fucking microphone every hour. Just
Scobo's got a bell that he uses because we do like
Perfect.
hash time at halftime in
Yeah.
our show. So
Perfect.
he rings a bell and we do dabs.
It's very
Perfect.
classical conditioning, Pavlovian things going on.
Let me
Yeah.
crank up the rig then. So, how this was such a fucking weird year that like I kind of wanted to focus on like what was the best thing that happened to everybody. Jim, you go first. What's the best thing that happened to you this year?
I'm retired, so every day is a blessing. You know, I mean, I don't get involved in grows anymore. I could just be an old curmudgeon, and I'm not responsible for somebody else's garden or fuck ups. You know, the one I always liked was you get called out on a project you've been working on, and you get this stupid statement. Well, we decided that we're going to go with, and then it'll be some insanity. You know, like. I don't know what I don't get into all that, but you know what I'm saying. The PFA, or the MGD, or the
Say no
some long,
more.
yeah, they went to a Canacon convention and heard some jackoff get up there and spout some BS about something he knows nothing about. So
I always talk with clients and I say that I don't want to have to argue with Google after I leave. And like everything I talk
I
about.
don't want to interrupt, but Happy New Year's. Jeez,
yeah,
guys.
Happy New Year's, guys. It's midnight here on the East Coast.
Oh,
We
shit,
made
there
it.
you
Happy
go.
New Year.
Yeah,
Have
happy
it
New
up.
Year's.
I was looking for the bell and couldn't find it.
Happy New Year's from
There
the
we
future,
go.
guys.
Cheers.
Fired up.
In the future.
Don't worry, you'll catch up in 3 hours.
2021
always
is
fine.
much better than 2020 already.
Yeah, let's force push 2020 off that damn cliff.
Yes, smash it in the face with a twisted T, man.
Of the Twisted Tea.
I love the ad for the show earlier, man.
Dude, yeah, shout out Sequence.
funny.
He pulled half of that together, and then my other buddy AJ, who I did send the link to, pulled the whole thing together. It was pretty cool, man.
We had people worried that we were going to be political because of the Twisted Tea. We're not. We're just. It's
I
just
saw that.
Just
Funny,
making jokes,
guys.
man.
Funny.
Making
And I mean,
jokes.
obviously, fuck Mitch McConnell, but like, it's funny.
Yeah, it's just funny. Enjoy it.
I mean,
all right. So
sure
we were
everybody-
talking worm castings.
I'm sure. I just want to put my one comment in on that. As I was to say, even if Mitch McConnell saw that, I'm sure he would at least smile. It was fucking funny.
It is fucking funny. That's what's so important. This year was so shitty. We got to like laugh this shit off.
So who else did something awesome in 2020?
I was able to focus on my plants a hell of a lot more when I was out of work. So, I mean, there's always a silver lining to every single dark cloud that comes through.
Hell yeah.
I got engaged and I got in the fish tanks. I mean, that hobby's changed my life. I absolutely love it.
Being engaged
Is
as
it
a hobby has
saltwater
changed your life. Yeah.
Is that
Fresh
saltwater
water,
fishing?
saltwater.
All
Take my
freshwater
dog out.
because I really like doing the plants. It's just another excuse to grow more plants.
Cool.
As if you needed
So what
one.
do you got going on the farm up there, Dustin, on the property?
Oh boy. Well, I mean, like right at this minute, we're pretty dormant because, middle of the winter, but the cows are still doing their thing. And up on the farm, we're in the middle of a bunch of, we kind of spend the winters on development projects. So I'm building another tractor barn. I'm building a large, like commercial compost facility, basically. We got a large scale outdoor mycology project that we're getting started now, or business, I suppose.
Talk about that, please. Talk about that for a second. I want to hear about that.
Okay, so I spent a lot of time trying to find a business partner. Basically, I guess let me roll it back. We're kind of building this thing to be like a large scale permaculture incubator, right? So we're kind of trying to blend as much capitalism into permaculture as possible. So one of the things that to incentivize that is I throw it out there. I say I'm looking for a 90% partner in a business. I'm gonna be 10%. I'll put up all the money. I got the land. I got the resources. I have the chipper. In this case, I got the tractor. I got chainsaws. Everything. You just need to have the plan and some ambition. Come out and tell me what it is and what it's going to take to get it going, and let's do it. And you could take 90% of the profits and I'll take 10%. And I will also get all the waste product from, in this case, the mushrooms, the spent mycelia from this large scale cultivation. I'll use to inoculate all the hugel beds that we put into our broad scale earthworks that we're building out. So I got a jump start on, like oysters just growing all over. And then that then multiplies the effect of this business, because now, at a broad scale, we've got, in this case, let's say oyster mushrooms growing basically wild, and they grow wild here. So we targeted mushrooms that do really well wild. So oysters and turkey tails, and I think a little bit of reishi, but oysters and turkey tails I can grow on my alder, which I can coppice and continuously produce more feedstock for this, this business that's integrated into the rest of our, polyculture, regenerative agriculture model up on the hill.
You'll find that
Beautiful. So that one's been fun.
You'll find that alder is going to move your project forward at lightning speed over other hardwoods that are often used in commercial mushroom, like oak but alder's the one. And there's a bunch of reasons for that. And as you know, if you're up here in the Northwest, it's treated as it's an invasive nuisance. So in the forest, they have to go out there and remove it for fire maintenance, or, reducing the threat of fire. And so you can go up and grab all you want. And that's a good thing. And I will tell you something else too, that if you partner with somebody who has some experience in mycology, you're only half a step away from being set up to do meristem tissue culture, which is almost the exact same tools, the exact same materials, like wood-based agar. I mean, if you check out Phyto Technologies, they're a supplier of all kinds of botanical extracts, like pure salicylic acid by kilo for under $50. You can get, I think they have 10 different types of petri dish materials, depending on what kind of mushrooms you want to grow. You've chosen a good mushroom. There isn't a mushroom on this planet that's easier to grow commercially than the oyster. And
I know, and it grows wild here. If I leave alder on the ground, most of the time it's going to go to turkey tail, and then maybe 10% of the time, all of a sudden I got oysters just out of nowhere. So I figure, well, why not target those two that are already growing like weeds here?
And you could also take that mycelium blocks, and if you do some worm bins or worm piles or windrows, oh my God, they love those fucking blocks.
It's on the list. Yeah, the whole vermiculture is part of is absolutely on the list. That's the key to topsoil right there, is worms.
Yeah, for sure.
That's killer, man. I love that you're always out there giving these opportunities to people. I always see you posting about that shit, and it seems like your brand has grown because of that, like that pure love. Like it, you say capitalism, but I think in your heart you have this love for what you do and a love for your community and your family, and you really do embody that. So that's why I thought it was an honor that you were willing to come on tonight, and appreciate it. Happy New Year.
Oh yeah, man. I'm happy to be here. Thank you. Yeah. And don't get it twisted. Capitalism is derived on having strong local communities. If you don't have good relationships with people, you don't have any fucking capitalism. And this is what drove me to permaculture, because the rules of permaculture is, number one, take care of people. Number two, take care of the earth. And number three, obtain a surplus. If you do those first two things, you're always going to hit number three, So
yeah, there is no exclusion of capitalism in permaculture. Like you can have your cake and eat it too in that case scenario. And I like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, yeah.
You may be able to find lion's mane in about another month.
That's my favorite.
Deeper into the woods.
Mm-hmm.
Probably.
Oak. Check fallen oak.
We don't have oak here. That's
bummer.
Very
that's what I find it on here.
The only real hardwood we have in bulk is alder. The rest are conifers. You can't. excuse me. There are fungi
There's
that
some
grow.
vine maple.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's like cascara. There's a couple weird ones, the holly, but you're right. The vast majority of the Pacific Northwest is commercial timber, which is all conifer, other than the little tiny bit of alder that they're commercially growing. And also they interplant alder because it's also a nitrogen fixer. So like on the permaculture farm, alder's a magic tree. I can cut the thing at 6 feet tall when it's a foot wide, and it will grow back a bush next year from that spot. So and they call it coppicing because then I can prune that thing continuously, and that becomes the feed for the chipper for this mushroom system. It's also what we mulch all of our fruit trees with, which again, that'll be our primary target. That's where we're going to grow all these mushrooms first, is in the rings that we have around our fruit and nut trees.
If you're not familiar with them, there's a gentleman in Portland by the name of Peter McCoy who had a business, and he wrote a book under the name Radical Mycology. And I strongly...
the name's familiar.
It's sitting like, what's this? About 16 inches away from me right now.
But if you do any shopping at Concentrate, they carry that book.
At Concentrate Inks? I think that's where I got it.
Yeah, Concentrate's up in Milwaukee.
Fantastic place.
The farm.
Yeah, that place is great.
Yeah.
Love that place.
But they also now are carrying it. So since you're going to get into mycology commercially, they are now carrying the soy husk pellets that are
excellent.
You know, if you're familiar with the master mix. So that's anyway. So they have that material available, and if you tell Heather that Clackamas Coots sent you, they'll put Roger with you through the warehouse and show you where the mycology stuff is. And
the first time I ever went to Concentrates Inks was because Aaron Strozik, my contractor, the guy you talked to a little bit, gave me your super soil mix, and I went down to Concentrate Inks to buy all the mix from your recommendation.
Oh, thank you. Yeah,
thank you.
You can call it a soil, but don't call it a super soil.
Oh, sure.
My buddy Evan High Noon just showed up. He's literally my hash mentor, hash god, man, knows everything there is to know about old school cold water, to rosin. What's going on with you tonight, man?
Nothing much, just hanging out, smoking some joints.
What are you smoking on? You smoking on some of the hash you're making for me?
Yeah.
Yay.
Good. It is good.
What are you smoking on? That's Slurricane?
This round is ridiculous, man.
Fuck yeah. Thank you, man.
Really.
Slurricane, is that what you're working on now?
Yeah.
You're smoking on?
And then the next one's going to be that Hannah Y543 cross. So it'll be interesting with those kind of citrusy notes, but with that OG fuel, it'll be good.
That Haley has that smell is just something unreal, man. It's like real piff haze smell. And I can't wait to see how the hash comes out. I've only ran it a few cycles, so I don't think we've made any hash out of it yet.
Yeah, it'll be good. The resin's there.
No doubt. And Red Setter, is that right, Red? Is that your name too?
Yeah,
I
Red
want to give you the
Red Setter Farm. What's up, everybody? How you doing?
Yeah. Happy New Year, bro.
To Cannabis. Happy New Year. Cheers. I'm surrounded by records, so I'm trying my hardest not to crush anything over here.
You're rocking my house out, Red, earlier.
Yeah, Spartan. Everybody was on there rocking and rolling. Yeah, man. Cheers, everyone. I'm sitting here burning some Rainbow Driver. Got a nice little pipe full, and just ready to celebrate, man. Happy to sit here and just tune in and listen to what you guys talking about. Very, very interested in cultivating fungus and getting into the mycology myself. So I love the conversation, at least where it was. I'm not sure where it's going, but wherever it goes from here, I'm totally down and interested to tune in. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
Cheers.
One thing I would add, Dustin, is there's a book with the title Mushroom Cultivation, and it's about how to grow mushrooms in our garden beds. So adjacent to our tomato plants or whatever you like to grow, and using mushrooms like oysters, wine caps. Yeah, there it is, bluets. So not only are you creating food in the form of mushrooms for you and your family and neighbors, what have you, but you're also increasing the tilth of your garden. So you're going to get better produce. Whatever you like to grow in your garden, tomatoes, whatever. But even the culinary herbs, most of it which are mints, but they'll have more oils, and so they're going to be stronger, and that makes them better candidates for drying for long-term storage.
What I really liked about that book too was it gave you multiple ways to cultivate the mushroom. Like, for example, I really thought it was cool the method where you could drill holes into logs and then inoculate those holes and then cap them off with wax, and and then stack them up in towers. You're not taking up even any kind of space at all, and you're getting mushrooms for years as it breaks down those logs. I thought that right there, I was just like, fuck, a little bit of work in the up front, and then you don't have to do shit except for just harvest mushrooms.
I'd like to tell everyone who's interested in mushrooms to support the national organization of the North American Mycological Association. They've been around for decades. They have archives that go back to the 70s. And these are just foragers that it's hobbyists. But there are serious mycologists, don't get me wrong, from academic institutions that participate. But regardless of where you live, with the exception of maybe the desert states, you're going to have state organizations. Like I belong to one here, the Cascade Mycological, and they have weekend foraging where they have an expert take, I think it's limited to 12 people, out into the forest and show them how to not necessarily harvest everything, but how to remove cores and go back and create, on Petri dishes. So that's pretty cool. You can really imagine growing heirloom lion's mane, for example, or the heirloom oysters.
Yeah, and basically wildcraft and then duplicate that or clone.
That's a more accurate way. Yes, you wildcraft, yes. And it's really a fun hobby. I started growing the cubensis for microdosing, and we're now legal here in Oregon.
No longer have to end that sentence with allegedly.
Yeah, well, maybe they'll fix it like Washington did to the voters to the medical patients up there. You want to hear a horror story, but
fixed. Did you say fixed?
When I was a
worse. Yeah, we're fixed good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're screwed up here.
Yep.
Yeah, I got another pretty good recommendation as well. I have the one you mentioned.
Oh yeah,
Stamets. Yeah, another good one.
I tell everybody that mycelium running, whether you're going to grow mushrooms or cannabis, should be mandatory reading. You have to have an understanding. I mean, you hear a lot of jibber jabber from a certain sector about high fungal teas, and what does that mean? Well, I don't know, but we want it or something. Well, having an understanding how fungal networks contribute to the tilth of the soil, I think, is critical if you want to grow world-class cannabis.
Or anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you should see my grass.
I mean, anybody can grow bacteria. Christ, go out and skin your knee. You'll have bacteria and an infection within, 48 hours? But try to do a good network of real mycelium that can deconstruct wood chips to accelerate the speed of the hugelkultur dynamic. And I mean,
well, one thing I noticed just as a stupid home grower, I can notice with my own fucking eyes is you can see as you water it, just how water just sucks right in. There's no pooling on the top, hydrophobic bullshit. If you have a good I just feel if you have a good fungal network going in there, because that's what it's got to be. I can't think of anything else.
Right.
It just makes that water just, I don't even know what the words are, the hydrophobic pressure in the soil. It's just perfect. I don't know. When I water it, I can tell as the water penetrates the soil.
I never get that from the raised bed either. Mine soaks right in every time. It's easy.
Spartan, if you are interested in the plugs, that's what they're called. They're sold through mycology suppliers and of all types of mushrooms. Reishi, what's the one out of Japan that it's not native here?
Maitake?
Shiitake.
Yeah, I got shiitake plugs here.
Right, and I mean, so that's a way to move forward. And some do better in trees that are still alive. Some do better, like you mentioned, say in logs that the tree has been felled for whatever reason. So you can pick and choose which ones you might want to put as far as the plugs. And most of the mycology suppliers, I'm sure there are some exceptions, but I found them to be really helpful and not as trying to stick their hand in your back pocket like a lot of the old cannabis, some of the original cannabis online joints. So, and I've done everything I can to get concentrates to look at some materials that I know would be beneficial for new and maybe in some cases established mushroom operations. I want to see this thing kind of get going. Because I think we can still create incredible medicine without big investments. It's not like trying to grow a ton of cannabis. I mean, give me a 40 by 20 room. I don't need lights. I need exhaust, airflow, humidity control. Fuck the lights. I'll hang shop lights in there for growing mushrooms. So that's a big advantage. You don't have a multi-$1,000 investments other than
that and the turnaround. I mean, Jesus.
Well, that too, yeah. I mean, what is it? Oysters you can harvest today, and then what's the Thursday by Sunday you're back in there harvesting. It's kind of insane. The story on that mushroom is fascinating because it was first identified during World War I. In Poland. Poland's a real big epicenter in the whole mushroom story. So if you want to do some really hardcore studying, you're not going to be able to get around the Russian-Polish connection. But anyway, I was first grown in Germany because they were broke and the war was going badly and they didn't have money. You got to feed the masses. That's a basic concept of government. You got to be able to feed the people. So from there, it spread around the world, and today it's the most widely grown mushroom with a bunch of different varieties, the corals, the blues, some exotic, but the standard gray one that we're all mostly familiar with, the tonnage would blow you away. And here's another one for you. In India, it's not uncommon to add karanja meal, which is a legume, so that'd be like alfalfa meal, and neem meal to suppress contaminants. So much for its antifungal properties that it's going to kill and destroy every piece of mycelium that gets within 10 miles of it or something. But it supports what I've been trying to explain for many years and obviously not doing too good of a job. Neem and karanja will suppress pathogenic fungi, but enhance and elevate the growth of what we're wanting to see. And that's an important distinction. It's just like some bacteria can create a beer, and another one can cause you to lose your leg, gangrene. So it's not a universal. And I think the last thing we want to be doing is adding to our soils a broad spectrum fungicides or broad spectrum bacterial destroyers. Like when you get sick and you have to take a lot of antibiotics, right? Well, as soon as you're done, you start back with some probiotic foods, right? That have live cultures to reestablish your gut. So kind of think of the soil in the same way. It may not be a good idea just to go in there and nuke everything, or at least have an idea which direction you want to go or something.
Yeah, that's always the danger. Like, for example, like IPM strategy, one that we use on the commercial scale is ozonated water, because we've got a machine and it doesn't cost us anything, right? We could just fucking hook the hose up. We don't have to keep buying shit. And it's really safe. But when you spray that as a foliar, you're kind of cleaning that slate for anything to kind of just jump on there too. So, I mean, it's kind of rolling dice. You have to pick one or the other. Do you want to be sterile or do you not want to be sterile? So it's one of those.
We've gotten into that. You and I, Spartan, have talked about that. But there's, it's a fine line, and I think that there's different styles and stuff. But real quick, shout out to AJ. Just joined the panel. He actually made the promo graphic for this, which I thought was fucking hilarious. It's the Twisted Tea. Mitch McConnell getting smashed in the face. So thank you, AJ. How's your New Year's?
What up? I had to unmute, sorry. It was pretty good. Pretty relaxed. Just at home with the fam. Doing nothing, staying safe. Watching my mushrooms grow.
Right on. What kind of mushrooms?
What's up, everybody?
Howdy, AJ.
What's up, man? Good job on that, man. You're killing me.
Man of many talents. He can roll some nice spliffs and he can make some sweet graphics.
Oh, God.
Well, thanks for showing up, bro. I appreciate you being here.
No problem. Happy to be here. Big fan of yours, Coots. Everyone else I've seen in here.
Right on.
Love to see it.
What kind of mushrooms do you enjoy growing?
Oyster, shiitake. Been getting into, the other fun ones.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But just been really diving into it. Trying to learn everything I can. Started reading mycelium running and then went back and reading Mushroom Cultivator.
Here's one for you that he was involved with Paul Stamets in the documentary from a couple of years ago, Fantastic Fungi. His name is Trad Cotter, and he has a operation in South Carolina called Mushroom Mountain, and he teaches classes. And his book, Organic Mushroom Farming and Mycoremediation, is one that, wow, yeah.
Definitely check it out.
Yeah, he's got it. And you can get either printed or digital. Yeah, highly recommended. And for the other kind of mushroom, there's one, it's out of England, and Psilocybin Bible. And it's not available as a digital book, just a print, but Amazon carries it. And is it the best? No. But what it will do is get you from A to B, and then, like anything else, you got to do some homework and testing.
Awesome. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Those are two that I recommend to everybody if they're wanting to do microdosing or whatever. Because in one good hit, you can get 2 years worth of medicine. So you're only doing half to 1 gram a week. 5 doses a week.
Yeah.
So.
How do you guys feel about using totes for cultivation for shrooms?
Perfect. It's what I use.
Use what you got, I always say.
Yeah. In fact, the pasteurizer I had built, I found on YouTube, and it's one of those, the cargo totes, they're black with a yellow lid. You have them at Costco, that brand or that style.
Bumblebee or something they call them.
Is it? Okay. So I'll go through this real quick. So I'm looking at it. That has to be probably, I'm going to say 30 gallons. Okay. And so you get a long compost thermometer. You drill a hole in the lid and you put that spike down in there. And that's where you're going to put your material, that your substrate that you want to pasteurize. And then over in the corner, you have a valve with a hose that's made for this, for heat. And you hook it up to your pressure cooker, but just the nipple. Instead of putting that rocker on there, you put this hose. So you're pumping in, not pumping, but anyway, you're introducing steam into this tote, and that's what the thermometer is, and you take it up to for whatever you're growing, take it up to the correct temperature, and then hold it for, in a lot of cases, up to 1.5 hours, 2 hours, whatever. But anyway, you can do all that, and it's less than, I don't know, $20 or something, you know. Oh, excuse me, the thermometer was 10, so I guess about $30. So it's there's really, for some reason, YouTube has really cracked down on mushrooms.
I could do the same thing with the large IBC and a larger steam generator, right?
Sure. As long as you can control the heat, and because you're wanting what, 180? If I'm wrong, correct me, but I think for a lot of projects, 180 will give you the pasteurization level that you want. But you could take it higher, because on some of the wood-based mediums, like for growing lion's mane or turkey tail or some of the others, you actually want to go to sterilization with steam, not a chemical sterilization, but a steam. So, but yeah, it's really inexpensive way, because you already got a pressure cooker, right? So you've already got the big investment thingy already.
Boiler. Yeah.
Right. So, in your case, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, a boiler. But you got the idea. Yeah. It just, it's maintenance of your material for certain, whatever book you're using. And most of them are good. Peter McCoy, obviously Paul Stamets, Trad Cotter. Those are the names that come up that consistently, that you don't see much deviation. They're all singing out of the same hymn book, as the expression goes, So you'll have good, that's a good basis to start there, and then grow your business.
Okay, what about the mushrooms that grow on my cow shit?
Those are the good ones.
Well, the beauty there is, unless you live there's only 3 states: California, Utah, God forbid, and Georgia. Those are the only states where it's illegal to own or sell or possess spores. In every other state, you can order them online. It's no big deal. And in fact, the big one, there's a guy by the name of John Allen, and his nickname is Mushroom John. And he spent the better part of 20 years traveling around Asia, South America, Mexico, collecting spores. And he got it from India, Thailand, Burma, Cambodia. So yeah, you can buy them already syringes. I think they're 11 millimeter, syringes. And most of them are around $20. Anyway, so go to mushroom with an S, mushrooms.com, and start digging around. And you can buy spore prints. You can buy the syringes already ready to inject into your sterilized grain. Oh, and on grain, take my word for it. I don't know who came up with
not cow shit.
Huh?
The grain, not cow shit.
No, don't use millet.
Wait for it.
Yeah.
Don't use grain. I think is what he was getting at.
No, you want to use grain to make your spawn, but if you want to use it for your substrate, age it to get rid of the vermicides that the animals were given.
There you go.
And then you want to pasteurize it. But no, adding manure that's been correctly processed is a great thing. That the people that have problem are trying to cut corners, or they didn't get rid of the vermicides. The vermicides, it starts with Invect. No.
Ivermectin.
There you go. Thank you. So it takes 4 to 6 weeks to deconstruct, and the big player in that is the sunlight. So you got to turn it. When they say aged manure, it doesn't mean just put it in a pile. You got to put some juice into it. Go out there and turn it and get the sunlight, because that sunlight's going to break down those carbon, hydrogen, oxygen agents that make up the vermicides.
Yeah, but I got a bunch of cows and like a holistic system. They don't get anything. They get some mineral supplements every now and then, right? So their shit, which mushrooms grow from, I could just inoculate with Liberty Cap spores.
Sure.
But you're saying it'd be better to maybe collect a bunch of it, use it as some sort of like sterile substrate to get a better culture going, and then to harvest from that culture and use it to inoculate all these little cow patties everywhere?
No, let nature take care of that, since you already got that dialed in. But what I would do if I were in your situation, I had access to quality manure, is that I would be processing it by pasteurizing, not sterilizing. Because, I hate to use some of these phrases, but we're all familiar with them, so here goes. Nature abhors a vacuum. So when we sterilize something, we've destroyed the microbial structure, a real microbial collapse. So pasteurization leaves intact, I'm going to use layperson terms, leaves intact the good microbes and destroys the pathogenic. That's the operating directive, if you will. Okay, so that when we inoculate with spawn, which just means, and usually, not always, but usually grain that's been inoculated and colonized, it's got a really good start because there's a lot of energy in grain, right? So when you mix that colonized grain with your substrate, it's going to really hit the ground running. And
now, is there an issue going from so you've got it started on one substrate and then you're trying to inoculate, like in this case, from grain to cow shit? Is that an issue, the transition?
No, you just got to have to make sure that the grain is done. That's what you have. That's the part of the process where you have to have sterilized. So you're going to sterilize grain in the jars and with the injection ports and however you're going to do that.
Sure, and then I can just take chunks of it once it's fully inoculated and stick it in cow patties, and probably be a good home. Say I'm trying to grow some Liberty Caps.
Oh yeah, you're going to sterilize the cow shit, right?
Ideally, no. Ideally, like, what's the least amount of work that I can get some Liberty Caps inoculated in this field, right? Like, how do I get these things to be spreading? They're mushrooms that grow wild here, so I should be able to just help them along, right? Like, same way I can help clover along.
I'm not familiar with Liberty Caps. What do they usually decompose? Are they usually decomposers of like leaf litter? Because you could just
cow shit.
Okay.
Cow shit.
They're all over the
pile.
Yeah, I would imagine if you got any growing, you could just grab. You don't even have to order them. You could just grab and do your own spore prints.
Well, if I had them growing, we'd be much further along. That's my issue. I can't. They're not in my field.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah. I don't see why that wouldn't work.
Yeah, so you want to inoculate,
and then harvest them, grabs the spore prints, and then boom, you're set. You can just keep fucking redoing. I don't see why that'd be a problem. You don't only have to worry, like, you kind of have to worry about what do you call it? Contamination, right? So that's kind of where I think Jim's heading is, like, if you just collected that shit and threw it in, did a mono tub or something, threw it in a fucking container and try to sterilize, you're going to be cleaning the slate so the food source is available to what you're inoculating. It's going to be able to, you're going to get a way bigger harvest because it's not going to have any competition.
And if I'm using, like, say I'm trying to do a whole field, it's a lot cheaper to just buy one spore collection, and then build out one of these tubs and then multiply that out over the whole entire field after that.
Exactly.
Much cheaper that way.
Here's my sage advice. Set up a mono tub, and get shrooms, and then experiment the shit out of it, and stuff that it doesn't happen.
I'm concerned that Liberty Caps is one that people struggle greatly to cultivate.
Yes, yes, that's true. But see, that's kind of where I'm going, because with the spores that Mushroom John collected at mushrooms.com, some of the real standbys, I'm not saying different people want different things out of a mushroom, but I like the golden teachers. That's one that was found in, I believe, Georgia, and Georgia and pig shit, I think. That's one I would call easy to grow. I wouldn't necessarily do the one, I hate the name because it's too cartoony, Rooney, PE, penis envy. The problem there is that it has a very low spore production, and but that's a hybrid. That's a human creation, that one. But Golden Teachers is a good one. Plan B, I think it's called, or something B, has the letter B in the name.
B plus.
There you go. Thank you. B plus. That's another good one. That's I think.
I always call that B positive, but maybe that's just my spin on it.
No, I think that's the actual way to say it. I think you're right.
Okay. Those are often recommended by people that have a lot more experience than me to newbies like me, that these are. I got lucky and ordered Cambodian the first time, and I've ordered them 2 or 3 times since, and I was really happy. But I do have a mushroom story for you. So in 1943, Dr. Albert Hoffman opened the 25th package of this compound that he got from rye seeds, mold, fungi, whatever, ergos. And that became LSD 25 because it was the 25th package. So 15 years later, spores were taken from Oaxaca. And at that time, it was believed that that was the only source in the world for psilocybe mushrooms, was Oaxaca.
Sabina.
Yeah, there you go. Right, the patron. They're almost a saint. So it was Hoffman who did the research in in France, at undisclosed location for his employer, which was Sandoz Labs. And he actually named the 2 compounds, psilocin and psilocybin. I find that amazing that in a 15-year period, this man was involved in LSD 25. And then so integral in the whole, what was it in these mushrooms that was providing these, results or reactions. But, if you're interested sometime, look at a molecule of psilocin. And
you don't think maybe the one discovery kind of opened his mind to the other?
Oh, I'm sure that there's no question about it. And later his writings in the book, he wrote several books. The one that I like the most, because it answered a whole bunch of questions, having grown up in that period. But LSD, my problem child. And it was a really self-analysis of his work in that area. And he came around to really being a much bigger promoter of psilocybin for the masses, if you will. That there was probably, well,
maybe the safety factor.
That and there's, I mean, even back at one of the earliest commercial acids, this was their defense at trial, where they admitted to using methadone and arsenic in Orange Sunshine to elevate the punch or the ride up. Yeah, check into that and include Sands. I can't remember the other guy's name, Tim Sands. But there were two guys that took over the after Bear went to jail and all that stuff, and they busted up the Brotherhood. These two guys ended up with the Orange Sunshine, and they had several manufacturing sites, and they were shipping it all over the world. I mean, people were in Goa, India, could buy Orange Sunshine from the hippies coming in from Europe. So yeah, they really had they had this one down.
Was the Orange Sunshine the ALD 52 analog?
Yep.
It was not LSD. It was actually something slightly different.
Yeah, it was ALD 52. And in fact, that was their defense in the federal trial. And the federal judge wasn't buying it. No. This isn't a trial in Laguna Beach. This is Chicago, the real deal. Because one of their plants was in Illinois, or I don't know, somewhere in the Midwest, Illinois, Indiana. They had a big, and they were pumping it out, and they were shipping it around the world in Jolly Green Giant corn cans. They had the cans, had the labels and everything. So yeah, it was pretty.
That's amazing.
Yeah, there were some real stories about that crowd. But anyway, so back to the mushrooms. If you're interested, look at psilocin, and then look at the serotonin in our brains, and it's almost like science fiction. Scary how close it is.
Yeah, that's got me going back and learning chemistry and biochem now.
Yeah, it's pretty radical. So. So what happens is that when we ingest mushrooms that have psilocybin, because psilocin is pretty unstable. So, and if I've almost never purchased good mushrooms. That's just a fact of life. God, these are nice and slimy. These should be good. That whole thing. But, so the psilocin it deconstructs, and it is usually doesn't retain a lot of its volume. But the psilocybin, when we ingest that, then it gets into our stomach and it begins to we break it down. If you look at the molecule, you'll see the arm I'm talking about. This one arm comes off, and then you're left with psilocin. So psilocin, in effect, is the skeleton and the body mass, if you will. And then the body mass goes away, and there you're left with the psilocin. So
we have a question in chat. Is it psilocin or psilocybin that it turns blue, bruises blue?
My understanding is the psilocybin. Yeah.
There you go, Brick.
There was another question earlier on for you too, why we had it stopped here, and they were wondering, I believe they're looking for a good soil, giving recommendations on a good soil out of Oregon, I believe he said he was.
Yeah, it's Cars Blunt Snow F asked if there's any good soil sources in Oregon, other than he excluded a particular brand or a particular place. Roots. That isn't Roots. Yeah.
Okay. Tell them to contact Ground Up, and they're in. If you get 10 people from Oregon, they'll all pronounce it differently, so I'll spell it. It's a tribal name, SCIO, Skio. I think it's pronounced Scio, but I've heard it. That's one pronunciation. Anyway, AJ, his family has a farm, a pretty large farm. Yeah, there they are. And I've done a lot of work with his father when he was still in high school, another AJ. But yeah, they've got really good, I can recommend them with no problem. And they can do custom stuff. And he's got some Verma reactors, that
That looked like a really nice website.
Now,
That was,
what is
it
a
was
verma
clean.
reactor? What is a verma reactor for people?
What the one person was talking about, the blade that comes across the bottom. Okay,
Yeah.
that was designed by John Holcomb at Oregon Soil. And others have taken that and tweaked that design. And that's what the AJ's done here at Ground Up. And it's a lot less money for starters. And I've been out there to the farm, I don't know, going back 10 years ago, starting then. Anyway, a lot of times, like I said, I did business with his father when they were doing worm castings. Are you ready for this? Spent shiitake logs. So they would grow the shiitake, not they, but this farm that they had contracted with, they would grow the mushrooms on these logs that are made out of sawdust. And then they're inoculated with shiitake spores. Okay, and so you grow the mushrooms, harvest them, and now you've got this thing.
mycelium block. Nice.
Yeah. So they called me out there, and I told them right away that this was way out of my wheelhouse. That I had no idea, because I didn't. I mean, I wasn't going to waste their time and mine. It was a nice ride, but 70 miles is still 70 miles. And but I got to know their operation, and they were doing compost, and they had a soil at one time and some other things. So all I'm saying is I've watched them over a 10-year period grow into, as you saw from the photographs, they got some serious composting going on. And the only thing, this isn't a criticism, just an opinion. I might add more aeration amendment to the mix than the way that it comes, but that's just me.
It's kind of cool because you could do something that's like they use in perlite maybe, and so you could use an alternate. Have two different types of aeration, like maybe
Sure.
a rice hole or something to bring some silica in. But
yeah, or the pumice.
Pumice.
We're out here with
term.
volcanoes, so pumice is not as cheap.
Or lava rock, even from the you get that pretty cheap.
Yeah, the scoria, yeah. So, but what's good about AJ and Ground Up is they've got all these materials because they do custom work for some of the commercial hemp. And his dad is something that he's now involved with, like a state or national hemp organization. Like a political action kind of person. Yeah, he was one of the original Yahoo IPO babies, the dad. And because I asked him one time, I said, "Where'd you get all this money, man?" This farm was the most beautiful farm I've ever been on. It's like in this really beautiful valley away from the world. And he goes, "Oh, I was with Yahoo before they went public." And I went, "Oh, that makes sense." Because
that's even more funny because I thought you were just making a joke when you said Yahoo, just like he's a Yahoo, but you were literally meaning Yahoo.
No, yeah, the Yahoo, yeah.
I was on the fence, dude. I was like, does he mean the website IPO, or does he mean some other abbreviation that I don't understand and he's insulting somebody? But yeah, we got to the bottom of it. So
yeah. So,
dude, we are 8 minutes from another New Year's.
Be
So
central.
everybody get your
time
rigs cranked up, pack up your
That'll be
bongs.
for
I saw
the
Evan
central.
spark a super nasty blunt for the second time, or joint.
doing bong rips for every one, and then joints in between.
Hashtag.
It's the high hemp wraps.
Okay, it's like a blunt.
I have a question about cultivating different types of mushrooms. Does that mean that I have to have different environments inside of my tub? Is it picky like that, Fickle? Is there just a general, you're trying to keep this temperature and this humidity and rock and roll with it? What do y'all think?
I tend to think that having a mono tub, as they're called, which usually means a 30, that's a big one, 30-gallon Rubbermaid. I wouldn't buy that brand because you can get a lot less expensive Stearite from Walmart or other sources. Most of them are growing the same environment in terms of heat and humidity. just some of the peculiarities on what I call the tree mushrooms, the ones that grow on trees, like oysters versus turkey tail versus. There's some people even growing reishi. I mean, that's like several weeks, and some of them are going to be a lot faster. Like oysters are insane how fast they produce. So
how long do golden teachers take?
Oh, those from the time 3 to 4 or 5 weeks, and that's your first flush. But okay, so when you microdose, this is the Paul Stamets protocol. And there are other protocols, but let's use his because it's the most widely discussed. He says you want to take between 100 and 200 milligrams a day for 5 days a week. So let's say you do the 20 milligrams, that's only a gram a week. So if you have just a decent harvest and you know what you're doing as far as dry them till they're like kindling wood. You know, this isn't
consistency. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
And one of those where you have the plates, the dryer, dehydrator.
I was going to use a dehydrator. Yeah.
Yes, that's what you want to do, and figure about 24 to 30 hours. With taking some breaks, I mean by reloading, move the plates around, the disc, that kind of thing. But yeah, 30 hours is not uncommon.
Look at Aaron.
I was drooling over Dustin's jars earlier.
Yeah, man.
Dude, the ironic thing is, fucking Evan made this. Shout out Evan. The other guy with the big ass blunt. He doesn't even dab.
How terpy is just a little tiny scoop off the top of that? How terpy is that?
Oh, man.
It will literally scorch your tongue.
Melt the fucking hairs in your nose.
out too,
mouthwash.
When I do dabs of really terpy stuff, I gotta turn my temp down, or that real terpy stuff like burns the fuck out of my throat.
See, I do the opposite. I turn it way up so that it just smokes it.
Nice. Get those benzene hits.
Yeah, buddy.
It's good to take
I like
the
turpentine is the. How would you say? Take the paint off.
Good to take the rust off your cast iron.
That's it. Yep. Limonene, turpentine. I mean, as long as you combust it, I don't know. I suppose it's all right.
Saw a study.
Yeah, this shit is ridiculous.
Yeah, it is amazing looking.
This is a cool ass
do
panel.
Little.
It is a cool panel.
Tiny dabs, but.
So while we have a short break here, I wanted to thank Future 4200 Dustin. I know we've never talked personally, but I'm a follower of yours on Instagram.
Big time.
The stuff that you do, not any particular thing, but all of the stuff you do is inspiring in the way that, like, just seeing a guy out here that builds buildings and says things and then does things. It's inspired me to do things and set goals and do all of those things. So I just wanted to voice that to you over on a panel together. So thanks for that. You inspired one person out there to
Sequence
do cool
is
shit
fanboying.
this year. Yeah, dude, it's a big deal.
It's cool.
Good.
Yeah,
That's a good thing. I appreciate that, man. That's what it's all about.
It's the same reason why we do a show. Like he puts out the content in hopes that he helps somebody someday. So he did. So there you go.
I like the variety.
Man, I was blessed one day when he fucking sent me a message and said, "Farm looks nice, boss." And I was like, "What?"
Hell
I mean,
yeah.
I'm told fan too, man. So, when he pulled up in my DM, I was like, dude, I got to fucking be friends with this guy. So, yeah, definitely appreciate you pulling up, bro. You bring the clouds for sure.
We didn't introduce him, so we didn't give him any clout on our show.
I do want to say cheers and happy new year to chat. I hope you guys are enjoying the panel and able to smoke right along with us.
I just think it's
you got over there.
I just wanted to, I don't know, we want to piggyback off that and just say I just love the walking the walk and talking the talk. Like when you set a goal or you say you're going to do something, but then you turn around and you do it, and that's That's what's kind of rare, you know what I mean? But the follow through, that's what's important, and it's good to see people doing that and pushing.
It's
it.
energizing too.
Yeah, man, it's inspiring to see people do it.
Yeah, no doubt. And I just came from like, you know, a step ahead where I saw a group of other people doing it and got inspired and then did it. And now I'm inspiring you guys. And hopefully at least one of you does it and inspires out, you know, that's the only way we can fix any of the fucked up shit around us is by fixing ourselves. And then by fixing ourselves, that radiates outwardly.
This is a capitalist.
Seems to be, man.
This is a capitalist who has his shit together, you guys. So, you know, this isn't that hard. Like you just need to treat your people right.
Ooh,
And Happy New Year.
1 minute.
We are like, yeah, I was just about to say, like, we're like fucking milliseconds away. I gotta be. Shout out Evan's shirt.
Yeah, man, it's all about just treating everybody right, being nice to one another. You know, the golden rule: treat your
basics, the fucking basics.
That's it.
You know,
mommy and daddy taught you when you were fucking 6 years old.
Just be nice.
I need you to treat me to that jar you were showing off.
Yeah. Let's get it.
The longest fucking minute in the world.
I don't know if you noticed, but I said fucking
Happy New Year, folks. Hey, look at that jar.
Not as good as
jar flex.
Galaxy
Everybody jar
S20.
flex.
What do you
Galaxy
have in
S20 wins.
Serious jar.
All right.
So check out Aaron's jar. Look at these terps on here.
Fuck. Let me pick this iPad up.
Can you figure out how to work
Get
this
nervous.
camera?
What are you doing, man?
Dude,
What a rookie.
kind of like it's
He doesn't
like
want to dump his
connected to
terps
the-
out.
All right. That's
Here's
it.
this,
I don't want to
man.
dump the terps out. This shit is so
Saucy.
Whatever. You get it.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Whatever. You
Come
gotta
on,
put it in the
tease me.
jar.
You guys stir it and tease me with it. What are you doing, man?
I don't have it. I don't have a Galaxy S20.
When you whip, we whip.
Neither do I. Damn.
Damn. So Mr. Bloint is flexing on us. Oh, here.
Here it
Dude,
comes.
this guy gets a fucking
Here it is. Look at that.
Oh,
come
what
on.
a mix. Thank
Look
you,
at that.
dude.
Oh,
Yes.
I just want to bite that.
Wouldn't recommend it.
If you paid me, I would.
Oh, there's a hair on the edge. Somebody.
That's all right. That's personal stash, bro.
That's the heady jar, bro.
That's fine.
Did you see this shit? I don't give two fucks.
I don't give a fuck. Yeah. That's going right in the fucking lungs. Yum, dude.
that's pretty aged too. I think that's almost a year old now.
We're planning an episode, you and me. We're going to talk about that shit a little bit.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, me too, man.
I enjoy sharing knowledge to everyone about something that I'm passionate about, especially.
And not to mention, you have like all this experience and understanding that goes way beyond it, way beyond what most people understand.
Oh yeah, well that's what like almost 17 years of fucking shit up will get you. You either keep fucking up or you get good.
Yeah, you usually either stop by year 17 if you're either you got good or you're really dumb, one or the other.
As long as you learn what not to do, you're still progressing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I want to take this opportunity to thank everybody on the panel and in the chat for showing up tonight. It's like it was sort of like this this hazy like a month ago, and I just sort of started pursuing it, and I was like, there's no way that this is going to come together. And then my wife was like, just go for it. And here we are, and like you guys all pulled up, and I appreciate it. So Happy New Year.
Well, thanks for the invite.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy
Yeah,
to
happy New Year.
facilitate.
Couldn't think of a better way to kick in the new year.
Big ass
Dude,
cannabis
you got
community.
abolished. You got shrimp in there?
Yeah, I got a shrimp specific tank, and then I got shrimp in all the other tanks too.
Dope. My girl's brother just got into shrimp too. I got a jarrarium with a bunch of them in it now.
Oh shit!
The polisher's got a tank over there that he doesn't have to fucking even feed or do nothing. It's just like a enclosed ecosystem. It just fucking feeds.
That's what mine is. Yeah, I got some plants and snails and shrimp.
Wow.
Yeah, cool. Especially all the stuff that like you can apply from the cannabis end or whatever the regenerative farming end to fish tanks and all that. I just absolutely love it. So everything that we learned there applies here, and it helps you get so much further.
Yeah, that's another thing on our docket this year is to expand our aquaculture. We've built out several more ponds. I got a bunch more IBCs lined up. We're gonna go at it from all directions. Thinking about growing those shrimp at scale. People be paying like $100 for those little fucking things, dude. If you get like heady ones that are the right color with the right claws, madness. What a crazy world.
Now you're sounding like abolished, Jesus.
Right.
Oh my god, you got it locked in. You got to get locked in with those stores around you and see.
We put up with
You
this
don't
shit
know. If
all
you
the
don't
time.
know, bro,
I
if
wanted
you don't
to-
know, it's like
I want to do.
I had the same
aquaponics
idea. Yeah.
for food. You know.
You ever seen the fluorescent mushrooms? The ones that look like neon lights. They're like clear with neon lights on the inside.
No, but now I want to Google them and see what they look like.
Right.
Like
Is it the ones that they change color when you cut
Jamie,
them?
pull that
Like
up.
they kind of like neon out when you cut them in half?
Some
There's
when they
especially if you hit them with the neon light or with the like a
UV.
yeah.
And then you got mushrooms like the agaricon that can live 100 years. And their use goes back to the ancient Greeks. And Paul Stamets and some other people have found a few samples here in the Northwest. And they didn't go cut them down, but they did remove pieces so that they could take that material and grow mycelium in the labs. And anyway, it's got really powerful antiviral properties. So it's the word like agar, A-G-A-R-I-K-O-N, agaricon. And the people down in Ashland sell the powder for $55 a pound. And you take 4
all the
grams.
powder down in Ashland.
Huh?
Even the name of it sounds old.
Yeah.
Did you make a hat?
Are you talking about Marriott?
Agaricon.
I got a pound of agaricon for $55, but I'm not sure. It came from Oregon. It came from Myriad Mycology, though. I'm not sure.
Yeah, right. Mary
Is that what you're talking about?
Ashland. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got a pound of agaricon, actually. I try to eat it daily.
Right. He worked for Paul Stamets for like 15 years as a.
You won't eat that right now.
Fuck no.
Double dog day.
If you could pass it to me, I would.
And I've got let's see, I've got Mexicana, I got Cubenzi, and the Dancing Tiger.
You have the Mexicana from John Allen, that pink one, that one? That's a nice mushroom. Wow.
But these Amazonians are my favorite, man. They've got this gold leaf that they produce.
Wow.
It's just so beautiful, really.
What's the name?
That's awesome.
Thai Amazonian.
Okay. Yes. Yes.
It
We
is
were
really,
talking about before you got here, mushrooms.com and some of the mushrooms that he offers, the spores or spore print. And he has that Mexican and another one that's an azure from Mexico, Oaxaca specifically.
Yeah. I've got relatives in Oaxaca. Me and one of my buddies were planning a trip actually this year before the COVID started to go out there and visit. But yeah, not right now.
Yeah, this past summer marked 52 years since the first time I ever took mushrooms, 1968.
Wow.
Boy, were they shitty. I mean, but when I'm looking at, they were slimy, and my God, how do I thought, how do people actually eat these? But yeah, it's all a learning process. Your post-harvest activities and many things, not necessarily cannabis, but strawberries or tomatoes, how you handle your harvest has a lot to say about its desirability, and that's certainly true with mushrooms. It seems counterintuitive, like, really? I want to get rid of all this water? It's like, wow. And I almost get like kindling wood, or something. But living here in Portland, you got guys like Peter McCoy with radical mycology, and you got myriad mycology down in Ashland. And there's some really good mushroom people that are doing it on a commercial level. And the spent blocks from growing, say, lion's mane, that's a waste product. And usually you can get them for free from the mushroom growers. Let's say you're growing cannabis and I don't know, I'm probably going to make a fool out of myself, but let's say in my world view, 100 or 200 gallon pots are of a good, good size. So let's say that's a yard. 200 gallons for this very limited discussion as a yard of soil. So when you get done and you harvest that plant, imagine laying down straw that's been pasteurized and then inoculated with, say, oyster mushrooms, and have the oyster mycelium destroy all that network of roots in that soil, as well as the stalk, instead of replacing it, in my favorite phrase, fresh soil, whatever that means. I always love it when I hear cannabis. No, I want to start fresh with fresh soil. Excuse me? But anyway, see what I'm saying? So and your soil gets better and better and better. After 3 or 4 years, a legitimate soil test where you're measuring everything, not just macro, but micronutrients, cation exchange capacity. I mean, all those things, you'll see that it's just a ramp up with very minimum amending, like kelp meal.
I can testify, and I have the test on my Instagram to back that shit up right there. Post them.
So it doesn't have to be this expensive ordeal, and there's some things we can get that are free to help. Or if you have a lot of manure and you want to pre-process it before you put it in the worm bins.
Yeah, either way, you're just closing a loop. I mean, either way, it's a win somewhere. It's still a win-win. There's no lose, and I mean, that's just great.
Yeah.
You can use. I mean, you can use vermicompost. You could use mushrooms. You can put them both together. But you can use regular standard, or you can do standard composting. You can do all those techniques. Most of these big worm composters do that. They'll do a static pile, or maybe a thermophilic one where they pump air up through it so they don't have to turn it. But they'll like pre-compost so that the worms can work faster and they get a faster output, and then they feed them that like pre-composted. So I mean, you can really take that, and then you could do a static pile and inoculate it with fungi if you have time, and just let it sit. If you have enough land, you can do multiple piles and just put them on like a perpetual cycle of always harvesting one per month or something.
This is one of those rhetorical statements, because we'll never have perfect. But if you had perfect conditions, ideal conditions, a pound of worms today would be 1,000 pounds a year from today. So that's the potential. And worms at $30 a pound is another revenue stream. And if you live in an area where there's fishing, that's okay. People that do fishing call them red wigglers. A farmer will call them compost worms or manure worms, because that's where they find them. They don't come up through the ground. Birds can't digest worm cocoons, so they eat them at your house, and they fly to my farm, and what goes in that can't be digested comes out. So that's how the worms get there. this mythology about, oh, they come up from the soil. No, they don't. They're a completely different type of worm. I mean, they lack the physical structure of a true earthworm. An earthworm goes way deep and pulls up soil from the down in the subsoil. Those little clots you see on your yard after a rain, those are worm castings. But you can't put them in a worm bin, they'll die. In the same token, if you took composting worms and put them in a field in Michigan where they grow something, they wouldn't make it.
Pot. We grow pot in Michigan.
Yeah. Ypsilanti. That's where I got my first big load of weed was we drove it from a farm in Ypsilanti, of all places.
I used to live there. I used to live there for about a
Hey,
year.
that's my stomping ground.
I know that city very well, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, a bunch of guys with Sicilian names, you know, Cousin Anthony and Guido, and you know, they were a fun group.
Damn, I didn't realize how well you fit in with this group, Jim. Jeez.
Yeah, what year are we talking
Jim,
about?
that's hilarious, man. That's literally my stomping grounds, man.
77.
Guido's what we call red when we're not on the air.
They would front it to us on 6 or whatever it was, 6-8 week front. And so we drive it back out to California, and they provided the truck. We dropped the truck off at another guy, you know, Cousin Anthony's father-in-law, and they would get the truck back to Michigan from LA. And then we think about this. This is how bad it was, the pot scene. So cannabis, or Colombian, supposedly, even though it said machine products of Argentina on the burlap sacks, but regardless. So we paid like $1.75, sometimes $200 a pound. And we called it fingerprinting. We could fingerprint them for about a C note. And you sell 10 pounds at a time minimum, so you made $1,000. And because the guys in Detroit, this was a business, they just wanted their money back, you know, in timely manner. So you can't be dicking them around. So as soon as we get the money together, then this is way before the DEA. DEA was still picking out window treatments for their offices in 77, because they just got like invented in 73. So they were still, you know, they didn't know shit. So we'd fly back there with carry-ons full of cash and C notes and $1,000 decks. And there was so much money going on at the cash house, which was in a different city. The Ypsilanti was the distribution point. And then the house where the guy, they'd weigh the money. I'd never seen it before. And you couldn't take them 20s.
Jesus.
I work in a print shop. That's how we count paper.
Yeah.
Jim, you'd be happy to know that Ypsilanti's in Washtenaw County and county-wide has decriminalized entheogens.
Cool.
The entire Washtenaw County is decrim. It's amazing. Ypsilanti included.
It was a weird scene, I'll tell you. It's, you know, wow. I'd never seen so much product. Took out to this farm, you know, a few miles outside of Ypsilanti. And they had forklifts, and the stuff was palletized. And they were moving around with forklifts and loading, you know, bobtails, going here, there, and everywhere. And I didn't want to know, you know, it's like, how did I end up here, you know, in fucking Michigan with probably FBI and DEA, well, not DEA, but FBI or the state equivalent. You know, I could be just a memory in a newspaper article about California gets, you know, sentenced to 40 years.
Well, the thing in Michigan was we had the perfect cover. It was called The Mafia.
Yeah, yes. I don't, you know, I never ask anybody if they were mafia, but sometimes you just.
I knew Ann Arbor always had some farms, but I didn't think that it got that big. I didn't realize that the farms were that
this is all Colombian bullshit. It was imported stuff.
Oh, it was imported. Okay, I'm thinking it was all grown out here. Okay.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Okay.
No, this was the crap from.
That's popping.
coming through Canada, probably.
All right. Okay.
Came up through the south of Louisiana. I forget which one.
75 up by 75.
Yeah. I mean, the same families that have been running, New Orleans since what, the 20s? I can't remember his name, but this one godfather. He wasn't any part of the New York, the five families. And he also, Carlos somebody, and he also had the Florida action. But, when the days before the communists, or whatever they're called, took over Cuba, Cuba was a playground for gangsters. Casinos, lots of women, gambling, didn't snow, A lot better than New York in December, that's for sure.
And that's what they mean by the good old days.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think I was
cool story.
Too
I can't
young
share
to,
any
be a
stories
part of
like
it.
that for like 20 years or longer. I gotta look up some rules.
Well, domestic growing, as we understand it today, didn't even barely begin until 79, 80. I never heard the word sensimilla until 78. Everything that came out of Thailand had seeds in it, Thai seeds, my God. Thai sticks. The premium Mexican stuff from Culiacan and Guerrero, it all had seeds, but not like the bricks, but you know what I'm saying?
Hey, Jim, what'd you think of that video I sent you of that Thai stick getting broken down? Did that look legit? From Grows Day, I think it was. I don't know if you guys saw this video of an OG
it was either the Thai stick thing only lasted a couple of years, and the seeds had been taken to Mexico, and they were growing Thai seeds in Mexico, and they were tying the sticks. But here was the big difference. The Thai sticks from Thailand, the string was silk. And in Mexico, they were using this shit like you'd go, if you went to sew some clothes, like on a sewing machine, that kind of thread. So you could look at it and go, wait a minute, this doesn't look right. But anyway, you get the idea. So when I looked at that stick, that was the first thing that I flashed on. So what I would say is that it was probably one of the latter of the true Thailand Thai sticks, but more likely than not, the Mexican recreation, the knockoff. Is that what you call it?
So what was the experience
But you think
like?
that the seeds would be of the same sort of lineage, or?
Yes. That part
Since
of it
is like the Mexican.
I would imagine it'd be pretty close to a Landros, because if they're not separating the seeds, they're just interbreeding over and over and over and over again.
Right.
It'd be like
Might be some epigenetic mutation there from that, Mexican breeding, but it's still going to be Thai.
Yeah, it's gonna. Yeah, all the seeds that came in my hands. Okay, so the Thai sticks used to come. The original ones from Thailand. They were wrapped in rice paper, kind of a pink color. The Asian Buddhist pink and red and gold colors you often see on like gifts. Okay, so and then inside was 10 kilos, and that broke down to 20 pounds of sticks and 2 pounds of untied Thai, which later became known as, God forbid, Buddha buds. Anyway,
oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I know. So these bales, or you could tell, came from villages. These were handcrafted from the ground up, and the seeds. There was no pot seedier than that crap Colombian. I want to state that right up front. They set the standard on
Was that the strain name? Crap Colombian specifically?
It wasn't my world. I mean, people, I don't smoke this crap. I sell it so I can buy. I used to buy pounds of like Mexican lime.
So you get some better stuff, yeah.
For personal, or Thai sticks were the ones that consider this a pound in 1978 was 32 of Thai sticks was $3,200 wholesale. And
oh my God. And that was seeded.
Yeah, and a new Honda Civic was about $3,350. So for 150 more than a pound of Thai,
I need to go back in time. Buy one Thai stick, collect all the seeds, grow that shit out. Buy me some cars. Open me a car lot.
See, Thai sticks like completely changed everything because this was like in bulk. This was the first, like you took a punch to the forehead, when you smoked it. Don't get me wrong, there had been some good pot here and there, the Panama Red in the early 70s was good. And that was another sativa. None of these were ever, all the strains everyone talks about today about the glory days, they're all sativas. They're not a single Afghani. But all the good Mexican, even fabled, real or otherwise, Acapulco Gold, and all that. I mean, they're all sativas. The stuff from Jamaica, the Caribbean, all sativas.
Equatorial, man.
That Acapulco Gold is originally from Michoacan.
Right. Yeah, that's why I said real or imagine. I mean, by the time the American kids, the Brotherhood got their hands on these products and got them here, but some of the stories got, excuse me? Some of the stories about the pot was, I don't know.
I got family members still growing some of those old shits.
Wow. I mean, the best pot I've ever had before Thai, or excuse me, in that era was from Oaxaca, the Oaxacan spears. And they would come in like 30 to 36 inches long, loaded with the largest cannabis seeds I've ever seen in my entire life. I mean, they were huge, like maybe 10 times the size of a Thai seed. I don't know what it was, but these seeds and when people badmouth Mexican, I just laugh my ass off because they've never had like the real deal. Did Mexico produce crap? Yeah, well, so do we. I mean, come to Oregon. I'll show you some really bad weed. Fuck.
I want to shout out to somebody in chat, Medical Mondays. I think they're located out by Detroit and Detroit area. And they said
cool.
they said they can still remember the Mexican lime up here.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Yeah, there was a lot of trading that went on. No, I wasn't involved in it, but I was just a kid, fuck. I just fell in at the right time, The older crowd.
Hey, Jim, I really love your stories, man. And cheers, everybody. I have to dip out, and I really want to wish everybody a happy New Year and thank you for this awesome sesh you guys put together.
Thanks for dropping by, Red.
Really
Appreciate
Absolutely,
it.
man. Thanks for the link, everybody.
Hey guys, I also have to hop out right now, so
appreciate it, Dustin.
See you later, man.
Yeah,
it's cool hanging with you.
Give us some plugs, man. What you got going on, like and Red too, before you guys sign off, if you both want to do that.
I'll just be simple and quick. Red Setter Farm, Instagram, and YouTube, Michigan Bros Grow Show. Thanks, everybody. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year's.
Yeah, and you guys can find me at Future4200 on Instagram, or Future4200.com is the forum, and you can also find us at the Good Life Gang. Again, thanks for having me, guys. Have a good night. Good New Year's.
Nice meeting you, man. Have a good New Year.
So before we get off Acapulco Gold, I was wondering if I could pick your brain on it, because my good buddy Spartan here is actually going to hook me up with some seeds to grow it, because that's on my bucket list. I really like to grow those legacy strains like that you'll hear all the stories about.
Yep.
But I was warned when I brought that up actually this week by one of the growskies that said it has a really high herm rate. Do you have any experience like growing that one specifically?
No, but I would say this, that that's a common, not complaint, but observation on a lot of equatorial sativas. And I know this flies in the face of conventional wisdom, so just chalk it up to I don't know what I'm talking about. But sometimes in strains that I've wanted to grow and I had those issues, if it were late enough in the cycle, I just did a shrug of the shoulders and, you know, it's life and let's finish it out. I didn't flip out. I grew it again. But you got to understand something. My orientation to cannabis, by the time that Sensimilla became a thing, and not even a goal yet, I'd already been smoking for 11 or 12 years. So didn't have this innate freak out about a seed. You know?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, you definitely wouldn't care quite as much, right?
No.
You'd grumble about it a little bit, but it wasn't like the end of the world, right?
No, still isn't.
Yeah, I still don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, imagine Skilbo, you get
If
some of
it's-
that too, right?
Dude, if it's fire, it's fire. And you know, here's the thing. Let's say that I do have this plant that I really, really like and it's fickle. Well, maybe I buy a separate tent that is going to basically fit the size of this monster. And then if it runs 16, 18 weeks, fuck it, man. Just sit back on it and be patient. And you might be rewarded with some really legendary fucking shit.
Now, here's the best way that I've learned. And then later I found out that somebody in the real cannabis world did it. I was following my grandmother who probably did it back at the turn of the century, the little girl. Okay, but with some modifications. So let's say you're going to grow, like you were talking about, you know, set up a separate tent. So let's say you put in a 30-gallon pot. That's good size, give you a really good plant. And build a frame out of PVC pipe, like a table, and on the top, instead of anything solid, you put in that chicken fencing and secure it on all four sides. And as the branches start growing, you start weaving it. So you end up with this carpet of branches exposed to the light. So when you flip them, you just get this mass of buds. And so you can probably get a year or two worth of personal stash for dealing with a little bit of pollen. It kind of comes down to how much you enjoy a particular.
Exactly, man. Exactly.
Yeah.
Is it worth it to you? You know?
Exactly.
Yeah, if I love it, I'll make it work.
Yeah, maybe you just decide not to run it. You know, you go, well, you know what? When it hits week 16, she's kind of funny. So I either need to do something different or I need to pull it right now. If that's my big hang up on it.
Right. I mean,
I love to push regular strains to see how far they can go. Like I pushed a wedding cake from a friend of mine that nobody had seen go this long. I pushed it 13 weeks and the heads and the terps on it were just like, it was such a sativa high somehow. It just flipped around, flipped out like crazy. Yeah, on a wedding cake, something like that, you know, which is not a strain I would necessarily prefer to smoke, but this was just something nice.
That's wild because you think it would be the exact opposite.
Like Joe Grows is saying in the chat with the 77 days on GMO. That's one that'll reward you if you wait for it, right, Spartan?
Oh, 100%. You're gonna gain so much weight if you let her go. And the terps are just, I mean, it's like oily almost. The terps are just,
it changes, man. There's something that happens in those final weeks
that's the way that TO is. You can take it at 10 weeks. I've taken it as long as 18 because I had a plan. I had a lot of stash. So you wanted to see what, you know, would develop if I went 18 weeks. Usually I do 12. But even at 12, especially with the barley, when I started that process of what I was calling SSTs, sprouted seed teas, and I was doing a lot more than grains. I was doing legumes like pinto bean, pinto beans and lima beans, all kinds of seeds to see if I could get that same dynamic, and I found out that I could, that the type of seed really didn't matter. As a matter of fact, I helped this one gentleman in Hawaii, and I said, "Do you have papayas on your property?" And he said, "Well, yeah, of course," kind of thing. I said, "Well, harvest one and cut it open and pull the seeds out and put it on a screen and dry it. And then after you dry the seed, and because that sets certain enzymes for the seed to last, right? And it's to continue the species." I said, "And now we're going to sprout those seeds and turn it into a sprouted seed and make a tea out of it." And so I went through the whole thing, and this was on Instagram the first time I was there, 4 years ago or something. Anyway, he flipped out the results. So even something that's not even I don't know, do people eat papaya seeds? I don't know. But here was just a straight seed, not an edible seed like a barley or.
Still the enzymes.
Yeah, and it's the enzymes. I mean, every seed contains them. Because think about what the host plant had to encode into that seed, this dynamo, that once it germinates, imagine the chemical reaction changes that happen. Enzymes get changed from this to that as the root system begins to develop. It's pretty magical. Forget cannabis, just reading a book on seed germination is really enlightening.
Yeah, I mean, there's hormones too. I mean, just the plant hormones that are involved, like the drobilins, for example. I mean, it's just
exactly.
I recommend Linda Chalker Scott for resources on general plant biology. She's a great author with a few great books.
Yeah, to say the least. She lectures a lot at the Oregon State School. Our agricultural school is Oregon State University in Corvallis, the Beavers. The other school, University of Oregon, where they filmed Animal House, that's where lawyers and PR guys and, marketing managers, that's where they go to school.
Douchebags? That's what you're trying to say?
Yeah, what do you call them, frat boys. Daddy's a sports car and daddy bought him a business, and now they're in
and now daddy bought him a multi-million-dollar grow.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Those are the ones I love. I've been to a few and never went back, because you could look at things and realize, oh yeah, this has got disaster written all over it.
Talking about CD, right?
Yeah, just Jesus Christ.
Hey, they're bringing up a really good topic in chat that I want to get your guys' opinion on, because I have kind of a unique twist I've heard about it. And they're talking about grafting cannabis plants to get around plant counts. You can graft, they're saying, why not graft several strains onto one mother plant, and you could have, your option of what strain you want. The one thing, I always thought that was a great idea, but the one thing that I've recently heard, and I don't know, like, I can't give you a source as far as like a study, but apparently there can be the mixing of genetics when you do that. So they'll drift, like say you have just two strains, like for those two strains will drift more towards alike to each other, I guess. So there is a little bit of a danger. I don't know to what extent or how long that would take, but just something to be aware of if you're starting to mess with grafting.
Well, if you were going to hold it as a mother, then that definitely is something to take into consideration. That's not going to work.
That is so interesting.
I wonder you could just look up apples and figure this out, right? Because basically all apples are grafted. So, and they've been doing apples for years and years and years.
But you're not comparing apples to apples. You're comparing apples to oranges.
Apples to cannabis.
I know, but you're talking about a tree and a
weed.
plant. I mean, that's two way big different things.
From what I know, whatever your base plant is the one it leans more towards.
The rootstock?
Yes.
Yeah, rootstock, that's the term.
Sure.
But grapes have been, wine grapes are all rootstock.
But they
apples
depend
are-
on that variety to not be part of the root stock. They depend on the variety to be the above ground stock. So it's
Like all
interesting.
apples are the same thing. They're all on
Right.
crab apple rootstock.
Right.
Yes, because they're more resistant to disease.
Hardy, yeah.
Exactly. But I want to say one thing: of all the things that you can do in the world of botany and horticulture, grafting softwoods would have to be at the most intense learning curve I could even come up with. Grafting trees is a no-brainer. As a matter of fact, there's a project not even 5 miles from my home where when the settlers came, the story of the human race is when a group of people are relocated from there to here, wherever that might be, they bring their plants and seeds with them. And this was no different in the 19th century. And so there were hundreds of varieties of apples brought. And the Oregon State is reviving, they've up to almost 4,000 already, but they're growing them all on wild rootstock. But to do softwood, I can't even begin to think how you would start.
I did a cannabis graft. It was like my
Okay.
second year of growing and like taking it seriously, and it lived, but the bud was like a lower on the plant. So it was like nothing to speak of. It was like barely a bowl pack, but I didn't notice any drift.
Yeah, I've seen it successfully done, but I've never heard of anybody saying it.
But I didn't look for it. Yeah, I didn't know to.
I thought it was an article or something I read. I wish I'd have written it down, but 90% of the time I'm high when I'm reading this stuff. But somebody in chat, who was it? Jesse White, said that they recall Subcool talking about it. That you can
Yeah,
get
I've heard
genetic drift from the grass.
Oh, I wasn't.
That's who I've heard talk about
I
it.
want to be clear about it. I wasn't saying it can't be done. I'm just saying that a tree is a straight up and down, bam, bam, you're done.
Yeah.
It's almost a no-brainer. The Chinese were grafting as early as 2500 BCE. So what, 4,500 years ago? And also with the stoners applied a new word for it in the late 80s, and it became another thing they called it cloning. Well, asexual propagation was invented in China too, and they didn't even have rooting gel. Oh my. And
Well, so Maxi751 in chat saying that they saw there's a paper on it, and that it was the genetic change was only around the graft, but not throughout the whole plant. So like it's localized, I guess.
I would bet that over time that could expand, sporadically, but expansion would happen eventually, could reach another bud site, and you might taste, oh shit, that tasted just like that other strain. Something like that.
It's still something to worry about in a mother plant that you're going to keep.
Yeah, definitely.
It's not uncommon to buy what they call homestead fruit trees that'll have, say, an apple tree and have 5 different varieties grafted on to the same tree. And there's others. It's not limited to apples.
But there's citrus that way.
Yeah. So, hey, speaking of citrus, I got one for you. You'll have to go. I'd call before, but anyway, there's a fruit called the Buddha's hand, and its real name it's basically that crap that's in fruit cakes that you always wondered, like, what is this made of?
Yeah,
everything.
But that's every bite of a fruitcake. I have that thought.
But this is like almost like straight skin, and it looks like a hand, kind of like ginseng, if you will. Anyway, so you can grate it on a grater, like a Parmesan cheese type grater, and mix that with water. And it's citron, which is the citronella lamp candles, Anyway, so it's a really powerful, God, I hate using this word, natural pesticide. You're using the same type of oils that you find in lemon skins or orange, grapefruit, whatever. So anyway, it sounds really cool too when you put it on your web page. You know, we use Buddha's hand for treating our plant.
I'm sure you get to charge more for that too.
Well, of course, you know, that's the whole point, isn't it? I mean, think about this for a minute. Okay, tell me, in what fucking universe? Okay, wholesale, these are wholesale prices. The most beautiful alfalfa grown on the planet is 15 cents a pound. 15 cents. And I'm not even getting into discounts for volume yet. You just walk in, you know, fat, dumb, and stupid into an organic farm store and get one bag. Okay. 15 cents a pound. Okay. Kelp meal, the finest, comes from Nova Scotia, Acadian sea plants, it isn't this much, but I'll make the arithmetic easy. 60 cents a pound. Okay. Tell me, in what universe could a person mix those two materials together and charge $60 a pound and have people slobbering all over Instagram and Facebook about how their life changed once they started using this?
Well, in the cannabis universe, of course.
Yes, of course. Yeah, exactly. Of course. $250,000 for a truckload. Think about that for a minute. Can you imagine? You run a farm, okay?
How nervous can you be driving a truckload of that value? Jesus.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Dungeness crab. You know, that shit's what, $25 a pound wholesale? So anyway, you get the idea.
My God, you got to get a police escort with that thing? Fuck.
Yeah. I love cannabis. I mean, some of the stuff I read about is, you're going to do what? You know? Okay. Groovy. Have at it.
It's my favorite thing when I blow people's mind. I feel like I'm blowing people's minds, and I'll get contacted through Instagram usually or an email, and there'll be people a lot of times trying to switch to organics. You know what I mean? They hear it and they're inspired, and you know, they'll be like, okay, I've got the soil now. Do I have like an A nutrient or a B nutrient I'm supposed to put in, or do I have like no? The nutrient you're putting in is water. Just put the water in. That's what you need to do. But it's just like that mind blow moment when they're like, "What? What do you mean?" It's like, no, you don't need that shit.
I know. Yeah.
CalMag.
I used to get asked that all the time. Well, what do you feed your worms? I don't. The bacteria feeds them with their manure. The worms don't eat anything. They don't have any teeth. They don't have a stomach. Jesus. You know, I mean, Christ. My favorite one, though, is of all time is magnesium-hungry plants. So in a molecule of chlorophyll, there's about 80 ions or atoms, whatever you want to call it, okay? Most of which are carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. There's one magnesium atom, one. And there's 4 nitrogen atoms. The rest are all carbon, hydrogen, atmospheric stuff, right? Carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Explain to me what magnesium hungry, how that could be. What, do they have extra magnesium ions in their chlorophyll or what? I mean, is this like, this must be some really cutting edge botany here and magnesium hungry plants. Okay. So out comes the, what is it? Epsom salts. Yeah, let's run that magnesium and sulfur. That should fix it. Yeah, okay.
I do love sulfur though. I'm a big fan.
I'm not. Sulfur is of all the thing it actually should be considered a macronutrient, number one, in my opinion. And others, there's a lot of botanists around the world that agree with, or I agree with them. How's that? It's at the base of every metabolic function on this planet. So it's extremely critical for maximum terpene, terpenoid, ketone production. that's kind of the goal, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, that's one of my go-to suggestions for people in organics who want to give a terp boost. I'm like, gypsum.
Yep.
You can use calcium. I mean, that's another one. Just like you said, should be a macronutrient.
Made a huge difference for me this cycle. Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Yep.
calcium and sulfur. It's like two of them that should be up there anyway. So yeah, put that shit up there.
So it's in every how you get there may be different, but in any product that's labeled micronutrients, it's always the same 7 elements. Again, it might be some forms are chelated. It doesn't. That part doesn't matter. But one of them is always sulfur. Always. Molybdenum's another one. Copper's another one. God, I can't remember all of them. But anyway, you get the idea. So, but sulfur is always almost deficient in almost every potting soil. So just out of habit, I like adding not much either to a cubic foot. Now, a cubic foot is 120 cups, just for point of reference. And I recommend using half a cup or so of gypsum. So it's not a big hit or anything. It's just, well, I use good worm castings too. That helps, You really, because worm castings are like any other compost material. What goes in comes out. So the better material that we start with, the better quality material we're going to have when the process is done. And we can help that along by adding things like kelp meal, basalt rock, neem meal, some other things. So
yeah, I kind of look at the worm bin as my digester for my top dress, right? So instead of top dressing these things, just fucking have it mixed in with worm casting and top dress one thing.
Yes, you got it down. The more things that you can run through the vermiculture process, the more you're going to elevate your plants in every way: health, immune system, defense systems against herbivore insects. You'll find that you have to spray less. The plant's capable of creating those terpenes and terpenoids that act to delay or in some cases kill the attacking insects. Something that's not understood about terpenes and terpenoids, for example, is that, let's say the plant has produced a high level of linalool, which is not unusual. That's produced by a number of plants. It's not just lavender. Let's say, it's a pesticide, linalool. Let's say that the plant is triggered with a hit of pathogenic fungi. It only takes the plant less than 15 minutes to convert linalool by restructuring, because they're all made out of the same thing, carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, right? So they can retool this thing in less than 15 minutes, and now they have a working fungicide. So all that's controlled above the soil line by the meristems.
And if you want to go really deep, you can say if there's a good fungal presence or network in the soil, mycelium, and you have more than one plant, like say maybe in a bed or something, and you had some kind of a signal of say a possible fungal attack, that plant is going to send a signal throughout the network to the other plants to produce those terpenes too. So they'll be ready before that even shows up.
Correct. That's correct. It happens also with aromas above the soil line that can retrigger studies done in some remote areas like Africa and what have you.
This shit just amazes the fuck out of me when I hear shit like that. It's just like, it's one of those things. Is like when you learn more about, I've said it over and over, but when you learn more about a subject, you just learn you don't know shit. You don't know shit.
Well, I appreciate it. Bye, guys. I'm going to call it a night. Happy New Year.
And thanks for coming by, dude.
Yeah, no worries.
Shout out to you guys.
Happy New Year, man.
Nice meeting everyone.
Yeah, I'm gonna dip as well, guys. Happy New Year. Cheers.
Cheers to go up.
Later, man.
Car Blunts in chat was wondering when a good time was to cut off silica. I don't really know myself because I just top dress with a shit ton of rice hulls and I let my biology handle that.
Agreed. Yeah.
I
No
agree.
reason to stop feeding silica in terms of, you just want to have your soil balance before you go into it. And if you need to add silica, based on your observation or a soil test, then, then you add it accordingly.
Okay, so I have a Spartan answer for you guys. I'm agreeing with you in a living soil situation where you're reusing the soil, 100%. You're wanting to just think of the soil as a living thing that you're just keeping it consistent. The hell with all the bullshit. Don't get the fucking salt bullshit out of your mind. Don't even worry about that.
I agree.
But if you're growing with salts and you're adding silica, I would cut it off about week 4 of flower, week 5 of flower. You're wasting money at that point. You're dumping silica in. It's not going to make a difference in the amount of time before you cut that thing down. The juice isn't worth the squeeze at that point. So just at a money standpoint, because you're not reusing this soil more than likely if you're feeding with salts. So don't bother pouring fucking silica on it that you're just going to have to fucking try to flush out at the end.
Are they usually using potassium silicate? Is that their usual?
Well, that's a common one, but that's not what I would suggest. I would.
Oh no, I didn't mean it that way. I just meant when chemical users or whatever the correct term
That's
is.
I've seen that a lot, and it's not plant available, so it puzzles me. So I like the mono potassium something.
Yeah, power size monosilic.
Yeah, monosalicylic. That's what it was. Monosalicylic acid.
Gotcha.
I looked it
As
up.
I did not want to talk about soil or growth. No, I'm just kidding. But I did want to talk about the new year and how, what everybody's plans are this coming year and stuff like that. So sequence, man, you were a big part of putting this together. You just straight up reached out and were like, dude, if you want to do it on my channel, let's do it. And you get the following. I want to hear a little bit about what you got going on. You mentioned you mentioned to me in our private chat that you have a lot of shit going on. So I would love to hear about it.
Yeah, so I was talking to Dustin, Future 4200, before he left about the stuff that I did this year. So it was one of the previous questions that we were going over and stuff. And my best friend and I, we built a 1,200 square foot greenhouse. We got a bunch of 45-gallon living soil pots in there. It's heated, double wall insulated, and we grew a bunch of cannabis in there. And then I'm also buying a house right now, going through the process. And then after that, I'm quitting the day job, starting my few different of my own businesses and doing that sort of thing here in 2021. So I'm very excited to do that and get away from the day job grind, I guess. I still work 16 hours a day, and I'm sure I will even afterwards. So that won't change. It'll just be on stuff that I enjoy a lot more. So I'm excited to do that. I don't know. I have a lot of goals, and I've checked a lot of them off. So I haven't reestablished goals since I did that. So now my goal list is very short, and I need to write some more things down.
It's always nice to
proud of watching that grow, man. I'm sorry to step on your neck, but I just wanted to say, I mean, I've been able to be, close enough to be, there and see it, and it's nice to see.
So that's my friend's very first grow ever. He had a lot of faith in my ability to grow plants, enough faith to put essentially his life savings on the line, right? And we did the thing, and the garden is already paid for itself. It's all organic. It's been everything that we wanted it to be,
So inspirational. I mean, my wife and I literally are doing the same thing, pouring our life savings into a property in Oklahoma, and the build out's months away from being done. We're almost done it's a 2-year project. And and Future has been a big part of the inspiration behind a lot of it, dude. Homesteading is a hell of a thing. And Jim too, in terms of cultivation and that kind of thing. But yeah,
it's very exciting. And the level of growth and stuff has been really cool to see and do, and been able to take a lot of footage of it and pictures and timelines. We built a whole greenhouse in 2 weeks, and like the beginning of June, and grew a whole season. So it was really wild to do.
Killer, man. What about you, Spartan? What you got going on this year / next year?
Man, I don't know. The fucking world's my oyster, right? So who knows what the world will, send to me. But I keep going back to the worms and in the worm casting. So right now, that's where my passion's kind of drawing my interest and my attention. So like I have these next 3 days off or 2 days off or whatever it is. And so I'm on the search for a container that I can make one of those flow through worm bins.
Oh yeah.
I want to get that to work in a small setting. I'm ideally if I could get a flow through design that's like a 2x4 and just practice like just to get an SOP down so I can be like, all right, I can give it this much, for a week or every 2 days or however many it is, and then I can expect this much output. Then I can extrapolate, right, and figure shit out. I could build something out of wood. What's that?
I have it for you. It's a set of plans. It's a little bit bigger than what you want. It's let's see, hold on. It's 3x4. So it's 12.
Work. As long as it fits in a 4x4 tray. That's what I was thinking. So that would be perfect.
Yeah, this is the okay, look this up. It's OSCR. That stands for Oregon Soil Corporation Reactor. And in fact, if
Hey
you
guys, sorry, Jim, I don't mean to cut you off. We are 15 seconds. I just want to shout out our, what is it, Mountain Standard Time, folks. Happy New Year, man. You got like your countdown going on right now, like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 type shit. So Happy New Year to those folks. Smoke one if you got me.
Okay, well, it's another link because that's a plastic tub. Wow. Look under images at the top of the page. There you go. That's the basic. But I have a set of plans I can send you in Will.
You guys pretending to be a worm.
Yeah, if you want to email those to me, just SpartanGurn@gmail.
My picture of my bin comes up on that one right there. You just had it. Go back up. That wire one there, I'm pretty sure is my bin.
Oh, that is so nice to have the wire too, because that's not going to degrade.
Yes. And so this is the real deal. This is what got the whole thing started about 30 years ago.
So they have those parts pre-made, or is the whole unit already made? You just
no.
See, like that right there in the middle is what I'm looking at. Like that really top that right there would be like perfect.
Okay, go down one row. That one right there. No.
Oh yeah, that's the one that's $5,000 that I'd like to get to, but I'm not going to step to it right this moment.
Go back up. It was kind of that's mine. Right there to the left. To the right. That one right there. I think that's actually the one that I posted on a worm. I'm on a what do you call it? A cannabis site, Grass City. How cool is that?
I think it's like a freezer. Is it like insulated?
Yes.
Nice.
It's I didn't invent this, so I can't take, and I didn't build it. I just financed it. I made the guy at DI said, I'll buy the materials enough to build 2 of them, one for you and one for me. And he thought that was a pretty good deal. So that's what we struck. So
nice.
He's also the guy that built my flow hood. It's got a 1350 CFM blower with a HEPA filter that's 12 inches thick. 24 square and 12 inches thick. That's a flow hood, man.
Yeah, that's nice. That covers your whole body. Damn.
Yeah. So that's when you're trying to, that gives you a microbe-free zone to work with your stuff.
Psychology mostly.
Yeah, exactly. Or
tissue
cloning.
culture, I guess. Yeah.
Because if like say your organization wanted to hire an expert for doing tissue culture, you might be hard pressed to find somebody right away. But if you listed it as needing somebody who had a decent background in growing mushrooms, the learning curve would be minimal. You're growing in the same materials, the agar, in petri dishes. So, yeah, that's just something to throw out there.
There's another tip I was wanting to jump in before, and I never did, or I was getting high or something. But a nice tip that I think I picked up from Raptor Grow, and he said if you're ordering the spores online or you've got sporters and it's the first time and you're not sure, you want to test the quality. It's probably a good idea to do it every time anyway, to make sure that they don't have any contamination. Is you can inoculate some agar in a dish and test it that way, but before using the whole.
Absolutely.
The whole thing.
And you can buy pre-sterilized petri dishes, plastic, from Amazon, so you don't even have to sterilize the goddamn things. And
nice.
You're ready to go. I'm not saying you couldn't make better ones. I'm just saying though to like kind of scratch the line in the sand kind of thing. That's an inexpensive way to get there. And also hang out at Phyto Technologies. They sell all kinds of, like, how would you like to buy pure salicylic acid for $45 a kilo?
Oh,
that would make about 40 gallons of rooting gel. I mean, this is what all the companies use.
Yeah.
Especially if you're running a farm like you are. That's, some, they got all the neat toys. They got Tria, they got cytokinins, cytokine. What is it? Zeatine. Pure. Write the check, they'll send it.
Jesus.
Yeah,
Aaron, you gonna finish that dab? I see you dropped about half of it on your keyboard.
I take it easy this time of night. I don't want to wind up coughing on there like a madman.
It's all right. I cough like crazy. I just mute myself and deal with it.
God forbid I had something to say while I'm coughing, though. I can't handle that.
Yeah. It's been really cool to listen to your stories tonight, Coot. It's been really, really interesting. Old stories about Yipsy.
Yeah, we were young and dumb, so things got out of hand. But
so Jim, what would be your advice to them right now? Is there anything they could do in the greenhouse to help prepare them to, for planting the next season in there? They've got these big living soil pots. Right now, they're kind of dormant. Is there anything they can really do to prepare for, the next step of, planting and all that?
I would use, you're going to use straw, not hay, straw. Grain straws are the best, like barley straw, what have you. And you prepare that and then inoculate it with oyster mushroom spawn, which you can buy. So you don't have to even grow that out. That's
we have a local source, so that's not a big deal.
Oh, okay, perfect. It's even better.
We could use these big blocks. So you're saying just put a mulch layer down and inoculate it with a fungal, get a big fungal present going now?
Yes.
That's a good idea. I didn't think
that would take care of the root system and enrich reactivate really the fungal, well, not just fungal, but microbial colonies. Because
could they do that now, and is it just going to lay dormant in the cold, and then? Well, it's not even that cold yet, but eventually it usually gets pretty cold. But I don't know how fungal. Do they just go dormant and then or should they wait to do that until we know it's past frost or something. Or when they fire up that's the thing I'm worried about is I wouldn't want to put it in now and let them, toast in the wintertime.
Wow. Yeah, I'd probably wait till, you're out of your frost period.
Well, they've got a heater. They're gonna start that up earlier in the season. But basically, when they start the heater up, then throw it in then. Yeah, okay, right. Cool. That's cool because it gives them time to source a couple bales of straw and
right.
Maybe,
and then the other thing is that that's when you want to add. And I'm the biggest cheerleader in this side of minimalism. So that's when you could re-amend your soil. And by that, I mean with things like barley, malted barley powder. I would kelp, obviously. I would, but
I think they've got craft blend from Build a Soil, which is kind of a mix of all what you just said. Some basalt, I believe, is in there.
Right. There you go.
Barley, that kind of thing. Yeah, it's kind of like a little bit of all.
Right. And like you said, add some gypsum in that. That would be a good idea. But that's it. All those are also good ideas as you inoculate with the mycelium.
I absolutely love straw as a mulch anyway. I fucking love straw. It's my favorite, man.
And that is definitely fungal food.
Yeah. And it seems to keep the perfect moisture to where it's it keeps the microbial life, but it doesn't attract fungus gnats. At least I haven't had that issue.
Correct.
But I also found I think it might have been in Rhonda Sherman's book, I'm not sure, or I heard somewhere else, that worm castings have a lot of the nematodes that will attack the larva of fungus gnats in the soil.
Correct.
That's just amazing. I just love fucking worm castings, man.
And okay, now let's take neem meal specifically. There's about 20 constituents that have to do with botany that provide either a fungicide or pesticide property or nematode. But again, it attacks the pathogenic nematodes. And so with castings, you can see that now we have a symbiotic relationship going on in our soils. And so we're going to be able to control powdery mildews. That's been, Rhonda Sherman was involved in that work at Cornell several years ago. I've kind of followed her like some people follow baseball or football players. I followed her career going back about 15 years.
Man, I can't thank you enough about recommending her book because that's inspired me. It's like, man, I want to do that thing, man, because it's, well, like you're saying, I mean, between the harvesting of just the worm, you almost could make more money selling just the damn worms than you could the damn castings, and that's the magic. I mean, the castings is what I'm really after, and it's just amazing that you could just be like a worm heart, or what would you call that? Like almost like it's a livestock, you know what I mean? You'd be like raising fucking cattle, but just worms, and you could be selling those.
My buddy Doug, that was the first commercial worm guy, that I had ever met or ran into. But he and I always call him the working crew, or something like that. What's really cool about worms is they don't sleep. Okay, they live 4.5 to 5 years, and they work 24/7. For 4.5 years. And in the meantime, they've created, think about it, that every worm creates on average 2 cocoons a week, as you read, and each cocoon is about 4 hatchlings, so that's 8 worms a week. And those hatchlings will be sexually mature in 6 weeks. So you can see how quickly.
And they're higher value. You could actually, that's another money stream. You could actually harvest cocoons, which last longer for shipping.
That's right.
And you can charge higher a dollar amount for it. It's just like
there used to be
downside.
I don't know that he's still in business, but I used to buy him out of North Carolina, and his son had an operation in San Francisco, of all places. But anyway, between the two of them, they were like they had the the cocoon thing down. And I don't remember the pricing, but it was really good. So if you were patient and could live with it, because it would take a few weeks for the cocoons to hatch once you received them. And then it would be another 6-7 weeks before they were sexually mature and would be reproducing. But it was a less expensive way to get a commercial thing going. And I would suggest to people at that time, buy whatever your budget is, mix it up. Start with a decent amount of worms. But let me tell you about the vertical flow through, just to give you some numbers. So the one that you looked at, the Oscar, that's 12 square feet. And in general, you can figure in a standard worm box, about 1 pound per square foot, 1 pound of worms. And 1 pound is about 1,000 worms, adults, for this analogy.
Usually get you around $30.
Right. Now, in a vertical flow through, because you have oxygen, air moving through the bottom, and also the way the construction of the sides with all the vents, you can get up to 3 pounds a square foot. So that's 36 pounds of worms.
And I was thinking going cocoa as a substrate, as a bedding, because that would just mean more air retention, I would think. Because that was one of her, when I saw that was one of her recommended beddings, I was like, damn, cocoa. Then I don't even have to really worry so much about the water and stuff. It'll probably hold the water better. I don't have to worry about anaerobic as much. Eventually it's going to be all gone and processed anyway. But I mean, as a starting point.
I'll bow out of this one.
You'd rather go with peat?
No, not at all. I would go with aged manure.
Oh, okay.
If I had let me tell you about the largest. In fact, Aaron and I both had a chance on a Zoom broadcast back in August, I think it was, with the guy that ran the largest worm operation in the Western Hemisphere, Worm Power. And that was a joint effort with the Department of Agriculture. And this was in upstate New York, where there's a lot of dairies. And this was a project by the USDA of trying to find ways to get rid of all this agricultural waste and maybe even a revenue stream. And so thus was born Worm Power. So they had money, like real money, the kind that folds, government money, to fund this thing. And so it was really done right.
Free money.
And here was the deal. So every dairy cow produces on average 100 pounds of manure a day. That's every day. And,
a lot.
So if you have a big dairy, let's say 1,000 head.
That's a lot of shit.
Yeah.
That 10,000, 5 tons of shit.
So they would, here was the process. They would dry, it's called washing, but they would wash the manure and that would, and then dry it. Okay. And that's controversial, but whatever. That was mandated by state law. This wasn't, they didn't invent that. So now I just want to explain the cycle. So then they would.
When it's dried like that, isn't that called dairy solids or something?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
I didn't even know that until that show. And so I'd read it before, but I wasn't clear on it. And then either he or one of the other real true authorities they had on that program was remarkable. They did a legitimate thermophilic compost, and it take it up to 141 or 42 degrees to kill the pathogens, and then bring it down. And when it got into the mesophilic, they would begin at the lower end of the mesophilic around 70. They would start adding fermented, silage, okay, at about 10%. And that way, then that was allowed to compost and finish. And then it would go into the worm bins. And it was all designed by Dan Holcomb at Oregon Soil. And the pictures, you can still find them online in some of the YouTube videos of the operation, but this was moving a lot of manure. I mean, whoa.
And it's probably, they might be getting paid to haul the manure. You know what I mean? A lot of these places are paying somebody to haul it away now more than likely.
Right. And to be able to take that material and find the best way that works for you and your farm.
Well, I had kind of a dream plan, I guess, like if I could get a hold of a lot of property, it'd be great just in the cannabis field here in Michigan. They just passed a rule to where they're allowing composting of the material that we throw out, you know, like fan leaves and sticks and stems. And I think it'd be great. A lot of these places, I know the place I work at, we have to pay to have that processed and deemed unusable. So, you know,
it's perfect fungal food.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, man, if I just had a plot of land, it doesn't even have to be agriculture. It could be in an industrial zone. It doesn't matter. If it just has to be a plot of land, all I just need is a pile for compost, and then maybe a building or a shelter at the very least, for a flow-through worm bin with some electricity for climate control.
Right.
And then they could just eat that fucking compost, and I could go pick compost up from fucking facilities and get paid to haul away a waste and then process that into a fertilizer.
All right, the going price in Portland area, metropolitan area, and this isn't great, but it's decent. It's workable. Compost is about $40 to $45 a yard, so that's about $1.50 more or less, for rounded up, $1.50 a bag, cubic foot. Now, I'm going to say that at best, and I'm really critical, so somebody might rate it higher, but I'm going to call it a 6. But just going through the vermiculture process, I can take that 6 quality compost and turn it into a 9.5 vermicompost with no real investment.
I haven't even thought of that, but that's an idea. I could actually just source compost.
It's decent, workable, it's serviceable.
Yeah. Fuck, that'd be fucking take a lot of steps out and make the fucking process even easier.
Right.
That's basically just worm food on demand.
Exactly. And especially if you can pick it up or have
a super sack delivered, you know what I mean? And then shovel it with a wheelbarrow.
Yeah. Couple yard totes. Yeah. So that's a way to really get going. I personally, because I've seen Doug's operation at Northwest Redworm and the small amount of land that he actually uses, and yet the amount of, the best year was when we first went legal here for recreational. I mean, I think he sold, was 500 yards. 500 yards, man.
My God.
So, and plus another 1,000 pounds of worms.
Man, he's got good shit. Literally. I bought a lot of it and I still have some. I'm going to build my soil in Oklahoma with it.
They take 2 years to make. Now, you don't have to take that long. There are ways to accelerate that. And I think the least expensive way is the barley, because those enzymes work hand in hand with the enzymes that are being created by the worms themselves. They exude enzymes through their skin to trigger specific microbial action in the substrate. I don't like the word bedding, but anyway, so we can add then materials that are going to elevate the nutritional level. Like the best one that I can think of would be kelp meal. So if we add kelp meal to our worm bins, as those are deconstructed, you have all the elements that a plant needs, which is 83, elements. So that's all your macro and micro nutrients, but then another 350 compounds, some of which only exist in brown kelp, like alginic acid. No other plant creates alginic acid.
A good substitute though is alfalfa. That's like available anywhere. You're gonna find that just about anywhere. Well, you're gonna find kelp pretty much anywhere too now, I guess.
And in fact, the old timers, the older guys older than me, a common name for alfalfa used to be field kelp. So, and then the others, there's a compound that alfalfa produces, and I believe that
tricantanol makes a bush out and stuff.
Yeah, right. So, and for such an inexpensive material, it's about a third or fourth the price of kelp. So, in that regard, the alfalfa is a really solid option for people. Watch your nitrogen level. Don't say, well, God, if a cup's good, I bet 2 cups will really be good. No, it probably won't, but you know.
And you have to be careful on worm bin because you can get into a compost situation where you start composting and heat that thing up, and now your worms just want to get the hell out of there.
And so that's why you want to top dress. That's the best way to avoid those issues with high nitrate, like chicken manure. We have a product here that's commercial. It's legitimately composted and it's USDA certified organic, which doesn't mean all that much, but at least they're making the effort. And the thing is, it's only $4 a bag, so it's really cheap. Stutzman's chicken manure. And I was doing it with a discussion with a younger fellow several years ago at the big cannabis board, IC Mag. And he was blathering on and on about seabird guano this and seabird guano that. So I took some pieces of duct tape and I covered the name on the bag, and I took a magic marker and I wrote flightless bird guano. And I took a picture of it. And so I started a thread about the benefits of using flightless bird guano.
Flightless bird guano.
You say flightless, but I had a flock of chickens that would like fly into the tree, and like I would lock up all the chickens, and like 3 or 4 of them would be in the tree overnight. They ended up getting themselves killed that way because they wouldn't get locked in. But man, they can fly when they want to. When there's a coyote or I'm running to close the gate, they'll fucking take off. Flightless my ass.
I got Darwin.
I was on the Grow Room 420 show before this one, and they were talking about on there, I guess there's a service that you can anonymously mail exotic shit to people, like as a prank.
Oh yeah.
And that got me thinking. I was like, shit, I wonder, as long as it wasn't like a carnivore and it was like something that eats plants like elephants and giraffe and shit like that, rhinos, there might be some really good shit to fucking feed worms, man.
Start a special culture like that your vermicompost was started with the culture of like an elephant poop from like South Africa. Like that's fucking crazy shit.
Fuck yeah.
That's
put
dope,
it like
dude.
put it in little tiny packages in a pretty fucking package and say, some catchy phrase line and charge $5 for a fucking cup. People be buying the fuck out of it.
Put like a Paisley elephant logo on it, and you
just the ass end of an elephant with a fucking tail that hangs off the end of the package.
I'm almost sold thinking about it. Fortified with rhino shit, man. That sounds solid.
Sure, it's pretty expensive. I'm looking
We
at
can't
it right
afford it.
now. It's like
We can't
elephant.
afford
It
it.
says elephant shit amount 1. I don't know how much that
One
is.
third.
How much?
$14.99 British pounds.
Yeah, but what if I showed up at the fucking zoo and just said, "Hey, I got a 5-gallon bucket and a shovel. Can I just?"
Oh yeah, that's a good question.
Do you got a pile? So they got to have a pile somewhere. I doubt they just fucking put it in the garbage.
No, they used to sell it. They did sell it to cover costs. It wasn't expensive. The Portland Zoo was called Zoodoo, and they had it broken down by the carnivores, which she didn't want, and anyway, the vegetarian or herbivores. I'm gonna use the right word, not vegetarian. That sounds like you made a choice. I won't eat anything that has eyes. No, but anyway, So yeah, but the demand was so high that it became, fucking. I always like dealing with the horse owners because they got, I mean, the high end horses.
Oh yeah, for sure.
They got money,
Yeah,
and so they're feeding them kelp. They're feeding them, fish meal, the good stuff.
I've got my eye on. There's a alpaca.
There you go. Perfect.
Do it.
Right near me. I'm waiting for the summertime where it gets warm again. I'm just going to drive down that drive and go in there and say, hey,
dude, hit them up in the winter. They're probably selling
work.
alpaca sweaters and socks. I got a spot up the road for me that sells alpaca socks and sweaters and hats and shit. They got signs.
I might have to check it out then. I might have to drive up.
I might have to pick up their dookie.
There's no better time to pick up shit.
Wouldn't they be similar to almost like a rabbit? Like, wouldn't that be a cold manure? I'd be able to just run that straight in with no
good manure. I know about it because they use them, alpacas and llamas, as trail animals for hikers in the Cascades. So I
don't have to compost or age it. I could go right into the worm bin, right?
Yes, and because
that's gold.
They're closer related to deer as far as their digestive system and what have you.
And deer shit looks exactly like rabbit shit. I know that.
Shit. Yeah, it's like
a bigger version
of pellets.
Yeah, you could take that and put it right in. Especially because people that own those animals, I mean, there's wackos like in everything. Lavender people are wackos. Go to a lavender convention. That one, you think?
Who the hell is going to a lavender convention?
What's that?
I said, who's going to a lavender
conventions?
Oh, I did because I was trying. There's two varieties and one main, not varieties, but main types. And one is really high in camphor, which makes it a really powerful pesticide. Camphor makes eggs explode. So if you're trying to deal with mites, the spider mites especially.
Nice.
And so I thought I would go. And so lavender is a big deal in the Northwest because we have cooler weather. I would think Michigan would too, probably some districts. And anyway, lavender people, I mean, I'd love listening to cannabis people talk about strains, but they can't hold a candle to the lavender crowd. Oh no, that was from Mike Jones in Nebraska in 1938, and that
wow,
like it's a fine wine, huh? They got the year down. Yeah. Jesus.
So anyway,
everybody's got to have something.
The thing is with lavender is how powerful it is, and if security is an issue, you're not going to have like chemical smells and things. It's obviously it's very floral. Even the camphor, which is exotic in India, they make candy out of camphor. Like, can you imagine candy that tastes like mothballs?
Yuck.
We do have commercial lavender farms in Michigan. I looked it up.
Okay, the kind you want is they categorize it like this: the stuff that smells like what you would expect lavender to smell like you're having potpourri and that kind of stuff. They call that culinary, and there's weird shit like lavender ice cream and blah blah blah. But the other one is called
English. Is that the same as English? That's what I always see. English lavender.
Right. And the other one they call medicinal, and that's the one that has no linalool. So there's very little lavender smell, but the predominant smell is camphor. So if you're familiar with mothballs, anyway, you get the idea. And it's a powerful pesticide.
So what I need to do is mass seed my land with the two types of lavender, let the cows eat the lavender, collect the shit, put it into my worm bin. Oh, they're not going to eat the lavender? That's probably two. Fuck.
No.
Goats.
Chop it up and mix it with
goats. Maybe the alpacas. Will alpacas eat it?
Probably. I bet goats would.
Yeah, probably. But because goats. Yeah. But here's the thing about lavender that's really weird in my view, and the same was rosemary. Both of those are members of the mint family. Yet rosemary is more, it looks like a conifer. It's an evergreen. And the same is kind of true of lavender.
Are either of them nearly as invasive as mint is?
No, not at all. Thank God. I mean, usually you buy the starts. That's the path of least resistance. And you, when you order them, I can't remember the, but don't worry, it's not hard to find. The name for it, among the lavender people, they don't call it medicinal, but that's more the botanist. But anyway, I think they call it spike. That term seems to pop up on my.
I think I've seen that in seed packs.
Yes. Okay. Anyway, there you go. There's your lavender. The spike is the powerful one as a pesticide, and will really take care of business.
Lavender farm backup plan. Got it. Convert my whole farm in case the government changes its mind. I actually have a friend, not a friend, a friend of a friend of a friend kind of situation that converted their whole farm to a lavender farm from a cannabis farm and are doing perfectly okay. And not as well maybe as they would have, but perfectly
well, here's
all right.
one area that,
But they get to claim all their business expenses though.
Yeah. They're a real American business. We're like this subhuman business. Doesn't get to participate. Still got to pay the taxes though.
The farm that's in the town that I live in, their farm has 100 acres. And most of their is sold to perfume makers. Most perfumes use lavender because it's so, well, a lot of reasons, but it's so potent. And so it's like the carrying agent. The linalool is the big one on that. And but on the spike types, not only do you have camphor, but high levels of alpha and beta forms of pinene. So there's another pesticide for you. It's not just this one compound that you're going to get benefit from the camphor. It
makes sense if it's an evergreen, like you said. That would make a lot of sense if it would
Yeah.
have the pinene in it.
Yeah, and you don't have to do anything; it just grows. I mean, this isn't one you have to take care of.
Yeah, I've got one in my front yard.
Yeah, you know how it is.
And I have a rosemary in the back.
Rosemary, I like it, and rosemary is the same thing. There's the type that we use in our food, and it's either like it or you don't. But anyway, it tastes like rosemary. And yet there's also the camphor types that are high in camphor that are unpalatable. You wouldn't want to make Italian sauce with it or something, whatever. And that's another one you might want to grow and use it as a pesticide because of the camphor. Those are carefree plants. You don't have to worry, you know how they are. Just stick them in the ground and keep them watered.
My favorite.
Talked about mint for a second, and I had a funny story about mint. We had like a rodent problem at the house, and I couldn't solve it. Like, and I don't know, traps are great, but like, eventually you feel bad just killing like these mice over and over again. So did some research and I ended up pulling mint that was growing naturally down by the creek. I pulled it up and planted it all around the house, and it prevented them from coming in there. So did the trick. Those peppermint oils.
Because I seeded a whole back flower bed where I had, before I sealed off my flower room, that's where it exhausted. So I seeded that whole flower bed with spearmint, and it took over the whole flower bed. I mean, it goes out into the yard. I just run it over with the lawnmower, but the smell of the spearmint, I mean, it's just an excellent cover. I filtered my air, but I wanted that extra. I wanted that extra, and it worked, man. It worked great.
It's even heated when it comes out there.
Yeah.
Spearmint.
Yeah, the sun would last like most of the year. I mean, the really cold would get to it, but that hot air would keep them going for a while.
It's like an essential oil diffuser.
Mm-hmm. Keeping it close to the house, planting it close to the house keeps it warm enough to survive pretty much you know, most of the
Peppermint,
seasons.
peppermint and spearmint are grown commercially here. Weather because it's cooler, and but regardless, so the processors that turn it into the oil, I forget the amount it takes to do a whole case, a master case, which is like half a pallet of Wrigley gum. But the volume, the tiny amount will blow your mind how little it is. So this stuff is so valued that it only put one barrel on a truck, dedicated truck and driver.
Wow.
Because it's so volatile too.
Really?
Yeah. And
I
but
can tell just by I always like to do like go in the backyard in the summertime and just grab a leaf off a plant and eat it. And
Yes.
man, I can't do more than one leaf of the fucking spearmint because it's really fucking strong, man. It's like you ate some Wrigley spearmint gum, just eating a leaf.
Yes.
It's just like you get that strong.
and it's
strong.
it's a powerful fucking pesticide. I mean, don't bullshit around with all this. Should I put some probiotics in it? No, just take it, grind it, cover the water, and then strain and drain, and then probably have to dilute. Use your best judgment. But white flies, aphids, spider mites, the one that comes on roses, I can't think of. The goddamn thing breeds in the soil and then crawls up the stalk. I can't think of the name.
Fucking
But anyway,
thrips. Fucking thrips.
no, they'll take care of thrips too.
Russet mites?
No. See, you know how I avoided that? I would never take a cut from anybody.
I was just gonna say you don't take anything from anybody.
Yeah, and don't personalize it. I just, no, thanks.
No, man. Sometimes, as an outdoor guy, you can not take cuts from anybody, but you can't control what your neighbors are doing. And even as an indoor guy, you can't really seal your room perfectly. No matter what you do, you're subject to your environment. Noah, what up, dude?
What's up? How's it going, everyone?
Welcome, Noah. Let me spotlight you real quick.
Cheers, Noah.
Your garden looks beautiful.
Noah, the grower in the chat. Love the frost rails.
Yeah.
What strain is that? Is that your rock candy?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, brother. Thanks for coming in.
Here, I'll grab a microphone real quick. I didn't even think about that. I had a couple of champagne glasses with my wife. I don't normally drink.
It's all right. Check out this slab in the meantime here.
Don't be spilling anything. Oh, nice, dude.
So what's that?
This is Garanimals. This is basically, I took keef and I pressed it in a 12-ton press at 175 degrees.
Okay.
So like a rosin.
It's rosin. Yeah.
Okay. I like how stable that is.
Yeah, this stuff is so nice. So this is the stuff that I can take and actually press. If I press repress this brick right here, this slab at a lower temperature, I can actually separate the terpenes from the THCA and create diamonds eventually. But what I realized in that process was that shit is way too hard and it takes way too much work. And
it does take a long time.
I'm just going to leave it to the experts, man. I got buddies that are good enough at it that it's whatever.
Yeah, I know what you mean. There's some real ninjas out there when it comes to that hash world, huh?
I'm just a soil guy.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
What's this plant, Noah?
This right here, this is one of my favorites. This is a platinum plant. I'll take a picture. I'm going to pull this down here in a couple days. This is fruit punch, some of the stuff that I've been...
Frost rails for sure.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah, I'm just a flower guy myself.
I love your room, man. I like your room. Just it's real like HPS with the it's still you still got like the Raptor hoods. Are those like XL Raptors or what are they?
Yeah, I got a couple sun systems. I got a couple Magnum XXLs.
There you go. Yep.
I got this.
Fuck yeah, that's what my grill looked like.
Split right here.
Yeah.
That's a Fantech 2000 CFM exhaust right there. This is my Quest humidifier.
Oh, nice.
Nice little grill, man.
I was listening to you guys earlier, and I hear you. I believe I was talking with Scoot. I'm the same way. I do like my lights, but man, when I heard us talking about mushrooms, I think, but yeah, it's all about air movement and controlling the humidity, at least for me and my flowers. And once you get that on point, you can get a lot of other things squared away.
Couldn't agree more.
So how's everybody doing? There's a few people in here I know, people I don't. Everybody, Happy New Year's. And yeah, hopefully this is a good year for everyone, man. Happy growing to everyone. And
I'm starting back up about somebody. I got a gorilla tin as a gift. So I went online. I hope I didn't
Those are really
overpay.
nice. Those are super nice.
No, I didn't buy that. That was a gift. But what I got was a company called AC, the letters.
AC Infinity?
Yes.
Oh, those are nice.
Great fans.
Okay, a fan with carbon.
Yep.
With this cracked me up.
The Virgin.
Australian Virgin
yeah.
charcoal. What the fuck
Nice.
is that supposed to mean? But anyway,
That's the good stuff.
I've heard of good marketing, but that's got to top the cake.
You paid extra for that.
It's that brand new carbon. It's the first formed, man.
Oh, okay. Anyway, what amazed me is I was around before all this technology came to pass. And the fan can was one of the earlier, things. And so but you had to like put all this shit together. What I liked about this product line, it all like plug and play. And that really appealed to me because I'm only going to grow 2 plants. So this wasn't like, I just need 2 to cover my action.
You got to love that it's all black too. I mean, that's just sweet.
Yeah.
The controller is amazing.
I liked everything, the whole thing. So anyway, see, I got the fan, the charcoal, and I got.
Did you get the controller on the fan too?
Absolutely, I sure did.
Yeah.
The T7, T6.
Yeah.
Okay, so I paid. Tell me if I got bent over the hood of the car. This was from Amazon, and I paid $178.
No.
That sounds right with the
good.
filter and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool.
And
Are you gonna start from seed?
No, I've had this strain since 1984.
Oh, nice.
Mother clone. I've kept it alive. It's nothing fancy. It's just it's a Thai and a Kandahar Afghani. And I created like 10 of them, and I chose the one that had the most Thai. I could give a shit less about Kandahar or Mazda.
Funny, I just accidentally created a Thai strain myself.
Which one of those is cookies?
I don't know.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, all the great grandfathers.
I got it, but my mic was off. I laughed.
Anyway,
how cakey does that taste?
When he asked me that question that night on a program, he said, "Yeah, but it's cakey." And excuse me, what the fuck does that mean? That's all right. I confused he and one of his guests a week later when I said, "Hey, answer a question for me. What's in this CalMag stuff that you recommend?" They couldn't answer. I cracked up. So,
well, nitrogen usually. That's the first thing. That's why it greens up usually.
Yeah, I just fuck. Anyway,
hey, you're gonna
The
like
plant
that
looks
fan,
so
man.
good
That
now.
if you're used to the can fans, you're
Yeah.
gonna think that fan is like the quietest fan ever. You're gonna be really
Okay.
impressed. It's really, it came out. They started not even for the cannabis, like a lot of things. They actually were for the audio video, and
Oh,
film,
wow.
film. So they, it's for spaces like when you have your home theater or something. So they're trying to design to be quiet.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I was really impressed with everything. The hangers, even the pulleys. You get a shitload of them. I mean, I just thought it was fair priced. Look,
It really is. As soon as my fans take a shit, they're going to be replaced with all of those AC Infinities. I recommended the buddy of mine get one and helped him install it and put it up, and I was so impressed. I'm like, yeah, from now on, I'm going with those fans.
Yeah, I just because between my wife and I, we have 104 years of smoking history combined. So, I'm not going to be cutting back anytime soon. And I refuse to go to a dispensary and talk to a bud tender, for reasons that still escape me. You're going to tell me about, okay, go ahead. Do I want a Sri Lanka or do I want one from Kerala? What do you think, Cupcake? And I've already been kicked out of enough grow stores, so I don't need to start a.
It's one of those.
You live over in the Portland, Oregon area?
I sure do.
I live right over the bridge in Vancouver, Washington. Right now, I'm recovering from surgery, but when I get done, I'll hook you up with something on the house.
Okay. Do you shop at concentrates?
I don't. I'm just a flower guy, man. I do a little bit of.
No. That's the name. It's been in business since 1938.
So there's one over in Oregon too. It's called V&M Grow Store. I knew the owner. He just passed away a couple years ago, but he has one down the road from my house. So no, I haven't been to that one. But
this is this is a warehouse, and they have things like kelp. They have things like kelp meal. They have things like basalt rock dust. This is like, there's no crap in there like Fox Farm Ocean Forest or, I should be quiet. Yeah, you're not.
If they don't have CalMag,
you're not going to break any hearts at this point, Jim. Go ahead and let it rip.
If they don't have CalMag there, Jim, it ain't going in that fucking place, man. It's got to have the CalMag.
Anyway, it's where the serious, the organic terrorists hang out, and you buy your stuff, but yeah, it's the real deal.
Excuse me, what's the name of it again?
Concentrates.
It's just called Concentrates?
Yeah, concentratesnw.com. They've been, like I said, been around since 1938, not in this form, but anyway, its current form that it's been for the last 25 years is the people like that sell at the farmers markets, they sell the materials that they need for their raised bed farming, legitimate, agricultural products. You're not going to find crap like you would in, like some of the grow stores.
So for me, it'd be like awesome. Like the mill here around here. I go up to the mill and I do that kind of stuff.
Right. This is where farmers go. They're just really, really good people, and they move some serious stuff. Volume, real big volume. With the pandemic and people wanting to grow their own food, they said this was one of the busiest years they've had in 15 years. So it's all cash,
Yeah, they're in the same industry we are, the cash industry.
Oh, they were smart, man, with the cannabis. I warned them. I said, man, I'm telling you right now, don't take any of it to heart. You will get fucked. No, we won't. And guess what? No, they didn't. End of discussion. So, They had them by the short and curlies before the thing was even delivered. So, yeah, I stayed out of that one because enough, you know. I get my discount for the amount of business I bring into them, but I don't get involved in who hit John, you know. So hey, you picked it up, dickhead, you know. That's why I wouldn't work for anybody.
I think it's a good life motto that if you don't fuck with me, I don't fuck with you. I'm not worried about your business. You ain't worried about mine.
But anyway, well, okay, check this out. In the entire areas of Northern California, from basically San Francisco north, all of Oregon, all of Washington, most of Idaho, if you sell kelp meal, all right, it had to come through concentrates because they signed a deal with Acadian sea plants back in the 80s before it was considered cool. The same thing before it became available on the Canadian rock dust. This was in an article in the paper. They were doing 250,000 pounds of Canadian rock dust a year. That's a lot of fucking rock dust, man.
It is a lot. Holy shit.
And then when basalt became available, those sales just dried up because everybody shifted over to the basalt. But anyway, you get the idea. And bales, stuff that they would sell in grocery stores for $50, you could buy for $14. The 3.8 cubic foot bales of sphagnum peat, the good stuff. If you're going to mix soil, you know, go with the good stuff. So,
how far have you gone with your soils? Have you gone past like a fourth run, maybe, or a fifth run, or how? Or
no.
So you
I've
really
gone
about
5 years.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, on Instagram, I posted. I didn't physically mix the soil, but he's a very good friend of mine. I told him, here's exactly what you want to do. He's a recovering cancer patient guy. And all he amends is every year some neem and some kelp. That's it. And 5 years, and if you looked at we had macro and micro. Okay,
did he add worm castings every year?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But there was none of this dumping and knocking the shit off the root system because now what am I going to do with these? He just plants a goddamn plant next to the one that he just harvested, literally. Okay. But the numbers on this soil, I mean, most companies that sell soil would die for those kind of numbers on the macro and the micronutrients. And the stuff that was a little bit off in the micro can be easily fixed with bump up the kelp. See, here's the thing with kelp. Kelp has 83 elements in it. But more importantly, they're in the right balance. It's not like what a fertilizer sells, which says, oh, no, you need more, you know, whatever it is, you know. A plant takes up what a plant takes up, what it needs. So that's why it's a perfect fertilizer. You combine that in a worm bin and take those castings and use them that you said, like, use it as a processing plant. There's a good material to do exactly that. There's another thing about castings, as I'm sure you read in Rhonda's book, that in the digestive tract of the worm, that it creates a slime that's a calcium carbonate, so that you never hear about vermicompost people having to, you know, worry about pH. I mean, because the castings are so rich in calcium carbonate that the need for even adding a lime or an oyster shell powder is pretty much nil if your worm bins are really humming along. So another.
We are approaching the new year on the West Coast here. We're just a few minutes away. I wanted to check in with everybody else on the panel and see what everybody's smoking. I know, Noah, you got to bounce. I want to let you say bye.
Clackamas, hit me up on Instagram, direct message me. Here in a couple of months, I'll come over to your neck of the woods and I'll hook you in the house. Happy New Year's, everybody.
You too,
I
sir.
hope all you guys up if you're around here. You guys have a good New Year.
You too, man.
Later, Noah.
Thank you.
Dankman Dan's Divine Storm. You can't even see it.
There it is.
Cool. Nice package.
Dude, I've been saving this like giant rock diamond that I'm gonna throw on the e-nail on the new year.
There you go.
I'll try and show it. I'm trying to pull it out of here. Yep.
As much as you dab, we got to get you onto a quartz e-nail. You'll
Dude, I have one and I don't like it because it's
okay.
it's hard to clean unless you got one that I can fit the Q-tip into, because it's like, look, I get made fun of a lot, but I'm like old enough that I'm just like, dude, I don't give a fuck what people think anymore. Yeah, I got.
I'm not trying to make fun of you at all.
No. You're
Yeah.
not the first person to be like, get on the quartz game. And I got one in the fucking case, but I'm just not a big. It's hard to get the fucking Q-tip in the one that I got, but if you got one that would work with mine, I'm down.
I can send you something.
Oh shit, I dropped it.
Hey, Aaron.
What's up?
Tell them about the experience that
it's a nice diamond too. Spartan's dog.
Nice.
Igor had
What experience?
Well, where they took his strain and grew 2 plants in my mix versus his cocoa and salt thingy.
The comparison was not even. It was hard to talk about. You just had to look at it. It was like, oh my god, yeah, that foliage production, everything was unreal.
The
30
iron
seconds till I destroy my fucking face with this thing. Should we do a countdown?
Could you hold it up while I've got you spotlighted? Good.
Oh, sorry. I don't know what I can't tell when I'm spotlighted.
What a rookie.
Stop throwing it on the table, man.
Aaron the grower, not the YouTuber. I know I would, but like the baby's sleeping in the other room and I try not to fucking blaze out the room.
Just make clouds. Don't make excuses. Make clouds.
Just make clouds. I'm gonna, trust me. We're gonna cloud in this bitch.
Yeah, not too long.
Oh shit! Happy New Year. I think that's it for us.
That's it right there. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year's.
Happy New Year.
Goodbye to a shit year.
Thank God. Good riddance, you mean?
Yeah. Fuck.
Send me a link for a good quartz nail sequence if you got a good one.
A what?
Well, I will.
Oh.
I have a company that is really good. I've turned several people onto them.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's just like a regular quartz banger with an e-nail that goes around it.
I'm gonna mute myself so I can cough into oblivion.
But now guy's holding up his Mac one that I've been saving for a while, man. That thing is so smooth right now. It's like probably 4-month cure, maybe 5-month cure on that thing. It makes me sad. My next ones are still in veg, so it's going to be a little bit before I have a lot more.
I got to drive up to Seattle area, the north end, like towards Canada. A friend of mine did some outdoor hit for me. So he's got a few ounces, and he's a really good grower. I mean, we go back to like 75 era of growing.
What are we talking about here? Are you talking about Set It Forget It, Josh?
No. This is he doesn't do social media. Yeah.
Old school guy.
Real, yeah. He got into programming in the late 70s, and on his property now he has check this out, 26 acres of old growth where you can go walk through it and pick all kinds of mushrooms, turkey tail, maitake, lion's mane, oysters. Yes, a trip.
I've been looking into forest building. I'm gonna build a little forest on the have about a 20 to 30 year old forest on the new property, but I'd like to integrate that into a faster growing forest. So I'm gonna like plant a bunch of stuff that'll work in the shade until it gets tall, and then work with what's there.
Yeah. You know, it's that's a smart way to approach it. I forget there. Anyway, we have a lot of areas that, you know, were cut and then were replanted. And think about this for a minute. Just in Christmas trees, Oregon sells 7 million a year. And those are all grown from clones, cuts, which means you'd probably have to take at least 7.5 million to make sure you're covered. Okay, so that's just one tiny sector, just Christmas trees. Now think about all the cuts they have to do for the Forest Service for replanting. And I can promise you that they don't have giant factories with easy cloners in them, okay, with plant material trying to get some roots to grow. So it was hysterical for me to watch some of the things that went on here when it went legal. And there was this unlimited money. And so you could do every dumbass idea that you'd ever heard of, and more. And so
but at the same time, it's kind of cool to me because I believe that cannabis is kind of pushing the research into this microbial. I think if cannabis wasn't there, the cannabis cultivation interest in the whole soil food web, I don't think Elaine Ingham's teachings would have popped off.
No, I agree. Yeah. You know? No, it was the two sectors were made for each other. And I'll leave it at that. So don't bring us any real science, damn it. You know, yeah, okay. I'll leave that one alone. But, you know, can you imagine trying to convince a group of, let's say successful, wheat growers in, I don't know, a state near you, the Dakotas, right? Okay, can you imagine them doing some of the cannabis companies doing a presentation about how if you use this stuff right here for $600 a gallon, but I can't tell you what's in it because it's proprietary. I mean,
it's really good.
How
long could that shtick go on? Wait, what?
We were just talking about in this day and age, it was another topic, but in one of our chats, and it's just like people just buy brands over everything. It's like, fuck about anything else. I just want to buy that brand. Like, Jesus, it's just mind numbing sometimes.
Terpinator, bro.
I swear to God. I was on Peter's program several months ago, and I made one of my usual derogatory remarks about Terpinator, which, by the way, Spartan, you'll be interested to know that the only ingredient in Terpinator is sulfate of potash. Okay, so we're back to the sulfur.
And the percentage is like 13. Was it 13 or 7% or 8% or something? It's something super low.
So it's a little bit of sulfur and some potassium, which that's the always thing I like to add in flour.
Right. Now, okay, there's another product that has,
but not for $60 an ounce.
Correct. Yeah, I wouldn't do it in the Terpinator form. I find the more raw forms.
Right.
So consider another mineral compound that has magnesium in it, that is sulfate of potash magnesia, or K-mag, or langbeinite.
Yeah.
Whatever, sulpo-mag. It's all the same names for the same thing. So you can see that they're often found in areas adjacent to each other. This mine over here can pull out sulfate of potash. End of story. This mine over here is sulfate of potash magnesia. Okay. So this is a standard agricultural product. I mean, it's $12 or $13 for a 50-pound bag, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, right. Man, it's the stuff that gets under my skin, man.
It's a nothing. Okay, so you mix it in water. Of course, they list that as inert ingredient. That's interesting. Inert ingredient. Water, and it's like $60 or $70 a gallon. Really? Okay. So anyway, this guy in the comments, how they do on YouTube, you can make a comment about whatever you saw. So this guy calls me, he goes, "No, there's terpenes and terpenoids in Terpinator." No, there isn't.
What the fuck?
You can look up the goddamn MSDS online for yourself. I mean, here, let me hold you by the hand and, we'll take this journey together. We'll use a search engine, Jeez Louise. But yeah, that's what's in is sulfate of potash. So there you go. There's the big magical, when the guy at the grocery store looks ready, you mean you're going to try to grow cannabis without this? No, you're really throwing the dice. Okay, give me a gallon, or, one of Mike from Advanced Nutrients, one of his products, a gallon of Wet Betty and a gallon of, I don't know the stupid names, rhino skin or.
All the bottles I passed to get to the dry nutrients. The amendment.
Man. Brutal.
All right, boys. It is that time for me. My ass is as fucked up as I can get without going to sleep. So I should probably go to sleep. This has been absolutely incredible. Coot, thank you so much for sticking around, man. We don't get as much time one-on-one anymore as I like to, but I'd like to change that. And it's always nice to catch up on these shows like this. I always try to make sure you're involved in this kind of stuff. And Spartan, thank you so much for showing up. And obviously this is like you're in Sequence's channel, but you and I obviously, I appreciate you. And Sequence, thanks for making it happen, dude. Thanks for reaching out and hosting, and
absolutely
appreciate you guys.
Thanks for joining us. Dirtman Dan from the EO show wanted Jem to know that you're welcome on his show anytime. If you have heard of Embracing Organics,
he's been on there a couple of times.
Oh yeah. They're wonderful folks.
Yeah.
Seen him over there.
Yeah, I just got to learn to keep my mouth shut because sometimes I don't realize that there's what do you call it? Relationships,
and viewers and stuff.
Because I think it's okay to be real, Jim. That's what everybody loves about you. So just don't change. Fucking
yeah. There was like when I decided I was going to do this, a couple of things came up out of the woodworks that I didn't understand or know about, and it was surprising and unfortunate. And I hope that we can kind of like all come together and align, and like with Future Cannabis Project, all the other channels that might do this kind of content, but not necessarily be able to have a connection. That's what this was all about. I hope that we can all connect and join forces, man. And thank you guys, and thank you, especially thanks chat. I had a lot of fun in chat tonight because I got high as hell. I ate a glob of RSO and like just started like typing on my phone. I couldn't finish that. I'm gone.
I think that's the best. These organic kind of shows, they're not scripted. We just come out and we just talk shop and we hang out. And I think that the audience connects with that because they're the same kind of people that we are. You know what I mean? Yep. And it's what's interesting to us is interesting to them. And I'm all about community building, and that's kind of what the Michigan Rose Growth Shows kind of like was built on, was the whole like build the community. We don't need to make You know, we don't have to draw lines in the sand saying I'm more organic than you, or, you know, you're organic, whatever, man. What works for you works for you. This is what's working for me. Let's share ideas and see what we can do.
Yeah, totally.
Be in the change. So I'm proud to be part of it.
Yeah, and Jim, you say you need to keep your mouth closed, but really, you're not saying anything that's incorrect or I don't know. As far as I'm concerned, you're not stepping on toes as long as you're telling the truth.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be mean spirited.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, you're not. And we've had fucking long conversations on the phone, and just the knowledge, the scars, it's all there, man. You're OG, and I don't know if you even would consider yourself that, but we certainly do. So we appreciate you and all you bring to the table tonight and every night you do this.
Yeah, man. I look to you as a mentor. There's this big respect to you, Jim. Always.
Same here, man. Yep.
I mean, Spartan is, as the expression goes, a leader among courts. He's no half pint. You know, I always enjoy talking with Spartan and you and you know, just everybody. You know, I cut my teeth on before social media, so it was all the forums. You know, the rock and rollers, IC Mag. I mean, just the organic section used to do over 2,400 posts a day. Just the organic soil.
That's insane.
Yeah. And there were some real players there that you got to have thick skin.
I was a sad bait. There's a lot of keyboard warriors there.
Yeah, there were. Yeah, I was one of them.
The troll was invented there.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah. That's where I started the practice of, because cell phones were getting better as far as photography. So I'd take pictures of labels in a grocery store, and then I'd post it and explain what a joke it was, and how you could make the same thing for.
Take a picture of a 50-pound bag of a dry for a tenth the price.
So I once had Gypsy Nirvana send me an email or message, whatever you call it. And he said something like to the effect that, you know, I really like having you on the forums because, you know, you get people talking about stuff. He said, but you got to quit pissing off my advertisers. He said, they pay to be here. You don't.
Yeah.
Fuck them, Jim. Fuck them.
Oh, that's like capitalism.
I was quite polite. I wrote back and I said, you know, that line out of The Godfather. I said, we're all capitalists here. I get it. You know.
Yeah. There's the evil side. There's the evil side. The dark side of capitalism. There it is.
Dude, what a funny theme of the night, capitalism, huh? All right.
So funny.
Cool. All right, boys. I'm signing off. Y'all can continue. Farewell and feel free. And Happy New Year.
Spot, man. It's 3:15 in the morning here. It's time for me to hit the bed too, I think.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. Thank you.
Awesome time, Jim. Thanks, man. I enjoy every second, man. So thank you.
Thank you too.
All right, I killed